typically have my settings on for anybody to share audio. I can double it.
Alright, I'm talking. Let me see if I hear myself. Alright, I'm talking. Let me see if I hear myself. Alright, I'm talking.
Yeah.
Yep. See if I hear myself. Alright, I'm talking. Let's see if I hear myself. Alright, I'm talking. Let's see if I hear myself. Okay. Gotta say something?
Echo.
Nothing futs.
Okay. Gotta say something?
Nothing futs.
Alright, we're good. Alright, everybody. Welcome to the Gamer's Point of View podcast, episode number 3. We're here, we're doing racial tensions in the United States this week. We're talking about, the George Floyd murder, protests that happened across the United States, riots, the looting, tearing down of statues, landmarks, the removal of icons on like Land O'Lakes butter, Uncle Ben's rice, all that kind of stuff. We're going to try to cover a lot of different topics. Better police training, police brutality, all that stuff. Hey, Sirius made it. What's up, Sirius?
What's going on?
What's going on? I'm here with my co-hosts, Crimson Waters, I'm Also Serious, and Guts. And we're going to get this thing kicked off here in a second. Serious, me and Guts are on GTA with a couple other guys, Day and Voltar and stuff. If you want to join us, we're just going to do some crates and things like that while we talk.
Fuck Day.
Well, get in here and blow them up, man. Make sure you show offline before you join. I could send you an invite through the chat, or if Guts knows how to do that, he could do that. Because I'm the one broadcasting, that'd be better, actually. Guts,
awesome.
who went last in the game, Guts? Was it... We just did something with your counterfeit, so it's Voltar's turn. I'm gonna message him, it's his turn. How first of all, before we get into the discussion with the racial tensions, Crimson, you missed last week's episode because your wife fell down a flight of stairs, right? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Is she okay, man?
Jesus.
She's doing fine. Just walking around.
That's good to hear.
Being all wifely like usual.
Being wifely? Okay, yeah. Well, that's good. Serious? Your kid had... I hope you don't mind talking about...
Food poisoning.
Food poisoning? Right? Is your kid alright, man? Is everything okay? Everybody came out of it alright?
Yeah, she's good. She's good.
Alright, good.
Wrong food. Came from China.
Now, that's racist. You can't say that. You're on the right episode for that, though.
I know. No.
I've got a lot of talking points written down. I think the thing we want to start with, I've got about a dozen and a half, 2 dozen things written down here. I think we want to start with the George Floyd murder. And I'm calling it a murder because I've seen the video of it from multiple angles. Like I watched, the thing that I watched had like body cam footage, it had security cam footage, it had people's cell phone footage, everything. And there's no other way to slice it. It's to me, in my opinion, it's straight up a murder what that guy did. Go around the room here. Start off with Sirius. What do you feel? Have you seen it? Do you think it's just indisputable that it's a murder? Or do you think it's something else?
I think it was a murder. The way it was all seen and stuff like that. The way how the guy put his knee in his neck, I think it was absolutely wrong for what he done. And it's like so much in depth with it that there's like so much angles that we haven't really seen. But like we seen like cameras, but there had to be like really like much more to the story to it. But yeah, I think it was murder.
Crimson, your feelings on it?
I think when you put your knee on anybody's neck, they're not going to be able to breathe, so that's blatant and obvious murder. That's plain and simple for me, I guess.
No shades of gray. It's just it was wrong 100%, and no other way of looking at it. Yeah.
It's wrong of him for doing that, and it's wrong of the other officers for allowing it to happen.
Yeah.
That's my view on it. Pure
Guts?
black and white.
I mean, I'm in pretty much agreement with that. I mean, there's not much else you can really say about it to me. You know, all the other things that sparked from there, I don't agree with, but...
We'll get into that. Let's just stay on the incident first.
Like with that incident, I totally agree with what happened. You know, they charged the officers involved, and, you know, it's not like anyone's getting away with shit, but yeah, like that was a murder, and they need to be charged. They need to go to jail.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, from what I saw, the only, and I'm not, this is not a defense of what the police did at all. It's just something I brought up in other incidents too. He seemed to, I don't know if he was just doing it because he was legitimately scared or because he was drunk or high. I think they said he was drunk at the time or something or what. But he was resisting. But they went way, way beyond. Like at one point they had him in the car, and then they pulled him out the other side, and that's when they got him down on the ground and got on his back. Like they had him in the freaking car. It was done. It was over. You know? Ridiculous. All right. So does anybody have anything more specifically on the incident of that arrest gone bad, that murder, to say before I move on to the next subject?
I think we'll get more into depth and detail about that specific topic the more we talk about it.
Okay.
Everything else going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next thing I wanted to bring up was protests. And when I say protests, I mean the peaceful marching, the protests, not the rioting. I'm going to treat the rioting and looting as a separate topic to discuss. I just want to bring up the people marching through the streets saying Black Lives Matter or justice for George Floyd or whatever anybody was chanting and you know, protesting for. How do you feel about that? Do you feel it's, you know, I mean, it's in the Constitution, peaceful protest. You know, I don't know the exact laws behind it. I think you may have to, like, actually contact your government, your local government, whatever, and say, we're going to protest on this day at this place, whatever. I don't know if that's required or if that's different from state to state.
I know in Texas, you're supposed to give notice that y'all are planning to peacefully assemble and where and at what time. Yeah. Because depending on what's going on, they will tell you, okay, you can have from this time to this time, and then y'all have to clear out because whatever else is going on.
So you're not an obstruction to traffic or operation of businesses or a safety hazard, right? Yeah. Okay, so...
Protesting is also pretty situational, depending on the situation. Sometimes you can protest to get your voice heard under the freedom of speech. Just so you can get your voice heard and out there. Sometimes people feel the government will oppress you and make sure your voice isn't heard. So you're allowed to protest whenever, a lot of the time. But I do think that varies from state to state. I'm not sure.
But do you guys feel like this happened in one state, right? The George Floyd killing, and there's been other things that have happened before and since, but that was what kind of sparked it off. That was the spark in the powder keg, so to speak, or whatever, that really tripped off everything.
Again.
Yeah, the straw that broke the camel's back, whatever, and really set things running, ball rolling. You guys feel like nationwide protests in like all these major cities was warranted? Do you feel like that's the right response to what happened, or
to have a peaceful protest? Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean,
I do, and I do have mixed feelings about it. Like, if they wanted to protest, they had the right to protest. Now, where I start having the problem with it is, you know, even the peaceful ones, like blocking roads and shit and causing people not to be able to get to work and wanting their message heard. Their message was heard. The cops were charged quickly. Not even, they waited months. This happened within days. So no justice, no peace. They got their justice right away. They are being charged. They were charged.
So you feel like within the first few days they should have wrapped it up?
Right. So, okay, they want justice and they want peace. What else do they want besides charging the people committing the crimes?
But it wasn't just that. You know, during peaceful protests, a lot of protesters were either hurt or sent to the hospital by officers just in those few days too, which sparked the continuation of the protests, which led from justice for George Floyd to police brutality, and that's sort of how it evolved. It went from one thing straight to the next based off of how the police handled the situation or the state handled the situation. It could have been over, but when you want to flex your authority, you're going to get another outburst. I mean, history shows.
I can understand that, but they're still chanting no justice, no peace. You ask any of them what they're doing, they're upset over this mistreatment of these people, of George Floyd, and they did what they were supposed to at that point. So, I mean, even today, the little protests that keep happening today, they're still screaming no justice, no peace. They got justice.
Serious? You have some thoughts on it?
Yeah, with the protests, I'm with the protests, but at the same time, I'm not with it. Like, I'm not with it. Like, because, like, it's good. Like, people got they point across, and then when you see it worldwide. Like, you've seen it from Hong Kong, Japan, China. You've seen it from New Zealand and stuff like that. They got their point across all worldwide, and that was like one of the beautiful moments right there. But then, like, from that point on, I felt like they took it way beyond further. Like, now, like, when you see it, it's like I feel like some people take advantage of it, and I see it. Some people, like, just like with the lady that was getting in the car with the husband, like, you see, it's like always like two sides of every story. When the lady was getting in the car with her husband, when the lady pointed the gun to the two females, and then, like, the woman, she was like, she wouldn't move out the way, and she kept the camera right in her face. And then after that, you had the other lady, like, in the back of her car. They didn't want to move, so the lady got out of her car and got out, and she pulled out the gun and said, "Listen, get out my way." And who knows? She's licensed. She's a licensed gunman. Some people use that and say she was a racist. How you know she was a racist? And she said it on the thing, like, "Yo, I'm not a racist." Nobody knows who's what. So some people just take advantage of it with the cameras, and I just feel like that's too much. Like, the protests, like, I'm with it, but then, like, some people take advantage of it, and I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
And that's from my point of view.
Did anybody else see that video that he's talking about? I did.
I did not. It's the first I'm hearing of it. You can send it my way when you give it a chance to.
Guts, what are your feelings on that video? And Sirius, if you could, or actually, I'll try to see if I can send that to him in a second.
That one in particular, I don't know what the proper term I'm supposed to use, so I'm just going to use the African American ladies in that one were baiting them to do something the entire time. Like, there's a point where she's like, "You need to apologize," and the white lady flat out tells her, "I'm sorry if this is the way you feel, now leave me alone." And she still continues on her. But of course, the first thing you see with the news and in the media is racist white woman pulls gun on black woman and her child.
Yeah.
The child was a teenager, not even a young teenager, 16, 17 years old.
The daughter was the one that was actually filming it.
Yeah. And, like, they're not in any way, shape, or form innocent in that. And, like, I had the big problems that, like, oh, they confiscated her gun. They were looking at charging her with the hate crime. Like, that's ridiculous. You can't attack people and then claim the victim. And that's the default now, is anytime anything happens, it's the white people are racist and they're the victim. And then even when you prove it, nothing happens. It's just forget it. Just, you know, it's already dead in the media.
Yeah. It's a fine line on that one, in my opinion, as to whether or not, like, if I were in her shoes, I don't think I would have drawn my gun, but I wasn't in her shoes, and I'm, you know, each person is a different level at which they feel threatened, or they feel fear, or they feel the need to defend themselves. Also, one of the things... It was like, well, let me finish my thought first.
That was like... Oh, I'm sorry. But
that's okay. The people that were filming them and antagonizing them, I feel, were completely in the wrong. Like, okay, somebody did that to me, I would say, yo, you gonna say you're sorry? And if they didn't, I'd just be like, alright, what an asshole, and walk away, and that would be the end of it. They got in their face, they kept antagonizing, they kept on pushing the situation like they wanted something to happen. They wanted a confrontation. But the white couple was also in the wrong for leaving the scene. Once she had drawn her gun, and they knew the cops were being called, because not only did the mother and daughter say they were calling the cops, but also the husband, the wife of the white couple was saying to the husband, call the cops, call the police. So they knew the cops were en route, so you don't leave the scene, you know? So that's why I think she immediately was arrested. And then later on, charges, I don't know what charges were dropped and what were kept or whatever, but I know she lost her firearm, her gun, and I don't know if there's going to be like a court date to see or what, but anytime you have a gun, at least in Pennsylvania, from my understanding, even like a legally owned gun, if you are in some kind of an incident, even protecting your home or something, the gun is confiscated as evidence until the trial, or until the investigation is concluded. In some cases, you may never get your gun back. That's just it, and that varies from state to state, because Guts was telling me it's different in Texas. But yeah, I mean, that's, some people are going to be like that. They're gonna just get up in people's faces and try to force the issue, and they want something to happen. You know, whether the kids want their 5 minutes of fame, or because they want to push that whole agenda that, you know, oh, they're racist. She wasn't racist. I mean, we don't know if she was racist or not, but she was just being rude by not saying sorry. You know?
Yeah. If you watch, like, the other videos, there are places where she does apologize to her and tell, you know, just leave us alone now.
Yeah, I
apologize. I'm sorry you feel that way. Leave us alone.
Yeah, I saw
and they don't want an apology. They want a confrontation.
Yeah.
I just watched a video.
Which one? Did you watch both of them that I sent, or just the first one? Because the second one has what the news... Okay, because the second one is like how the news presented the story. Go ahead. What's your take?
The way the news presented the story is kind of wrong. Yeah. Not kind of, it's pretty wrong. At least on the YouTube video it says, wife and husband charged with felony assault after pulling gun on woman with her children. So there was no racial implications, at least in the YouTube video you sent me. Yeah, they sort of baited them. Yeah. The lady even at one point got back in her car and was like, "Can you just move out the way?" I see no problem with defending yourself at all.
Agreed.
The African Americans, black people, whatever which way you want to refer to them, I'm black. I don't care.
Right. And that's, like, to be honest, like, anybody I know, friend or former coworker, acquaintance, whatever, every time I've ever asked that question, what am I supposed to say? What do y'all want us to say? All I ever hear is, oh, I don't care.
Right. I don't really care.
Ideally, I think we need to get to a place in our culture where we just say our names. You know, I don't look at a person as a black man, a white man, an Indian man, and anything, just a man.
Right.
You know,
if I
that's
knew this
where we
lady's
need to
name,
get.
I'd use it.
But when we're talking about a video where it's a racial conflict between white people and black people, we have to refer to them as that in the context of the story. It's relevant.
Right.
You know?
But in general terms.
Yeah.
I also would like to point out, because the media has a way of representing one or the other or any spectrum of the rainbow as one type of way. Like
Yes.
black people are typically portrayed as violent or aggressive or instigators, and you have people that are like that. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of people you wish you could just shut up and make them disappear. But that's on all sides of the
I know
all
people
sides
of
the
every
rainbow.
race I'd love to do that too. Sorry.
That's on all sides of the rainbow. And the more we look at skin color without that objective viewpoint that we're all human beings, there's a problem. And a lot of people have this thought in their mind that just because you're the opposite skin tone means that you need to fear for your life. And this video is a very accurate depiction of how that fear sort of makes its way into real life.
See,
This black lady is obviously fearing for her life for some reason.
That one.
But see, at the same time, that lady was pregnant, and no, I don't think nobody noticed that as well. And I think there was like three ladies, and the husband. I think the husband walked away, but that lady was pregnant at the time too. So, like, you know, what was she supposed to do as well? So it's like,
Which
you know
one?
what I mean? It's
The one that drew the gun?
the lady. Yeah, I think she
wow.
was pregnant.
I did not know
Yeah,
that.
she looked pregnant. She was holding on her stomach.
was pregnant.
And, like,
Yeah.
she
So-
didn't look like she wanted to be stressed out, so she was
Yeah.
definitely pregnant.
Well, there
Now,
you go too.
you
I mean,
see-
your emotions are going wild when you're pregnant. You know, you
Right.
got that whole
Well-
mother bear kind of thing going on.
I don't see anything in the videos where she shows she was more at fear because they were black. She had a right to be scared when they were that far pursuing her.
Right,
You know,
right.
she never brought up race in that. The other
No.
people did.
Yeah. But then
So
you
the
see how
whole,
the media.
oh, we get fed this line of black people are so scary and aggressive and you should be scared. Nothing like that was ever shown.
No.
To where
No, but the news stations will sometimes spin things, or like depending on
Oh, yeah.
who's presenting the story, they could spin it to be in favor of whatever narrative they're trying to push. You
Right.
know?
That's not the point I was getting at. The point is that this psyche is created that because you're the opposite skin tone, you're either meant to hate each other, meant to fear each other, or meant to sort of clash. And again, this video is a very great indication of that because they're just the opposite skin tone, it allows you to portray this outlandish behavior on either side. You know, and that's wrong.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
There's one thing in this country that we should focus on is, one, make sure that the media accurately portrays each other, not as a color, but as one human race. And the second thing is to stop screaming racism everywhere where there's no racism to be had.
No.
Amen.
You know,
Before
that video is... Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, it's okay. I want to move on to the riots, looting, and vandalism, but not yet. I want to say one more thing, since you were talking like videos that are going around that are showing things and stuff. I watched a TikTok. I just told Guts about this one last night. I watched a TikTok, and this is just a girl telling a story, so it could not be true. You know, there's the possibility of it not being true. But she was a black girl, and she's like, I went through the drive-thru of Wendy's, and I saw a homeless guy in the drive-thru, and I asked him, "Sir, are you hungry? You know, would you like me to buy you some food?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, that would be amazing. Thank you, please." And she asked if she can buy some extra food. I guess she was already at the second window paying, and they said, "No, you'll have to drive back around, or you'll have to come back in." So she goes, "Okay, I'll come in." She goes in to buy the food, and the girl at the checkout, who was also black, said to her, "Why are you buying that man food? He's not black." And she's like, "What do you mean? Like, just because he's not black like we are doesn't mean I can't buy him food. I can't help him out. I can't take pity on him. You know what I mean? It's like she felt that because that guy was white and homeless instead of black and homeless, that it was wrong of that girl to help him. And I was like, I don't comment on things very often, but I did comment on this one, and I said, this is a great example of how some people say, and this is, I don't think either one of you agree with this, Crimson or Sirius, but this is, a lot of people say, not a lot of people, some people say that black people can't be racist. I'm sure you've heard that statement before. And this is an
I agree.
Everywhere, all the time, yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
And this is an example of how, oh, yes, they freaking can. Because the literal reason she did not want the girl to buy this homeless man food was that he was white instead of black. Which is crazy.
Absolutely.
But see, and the funny thing is they say, like, blacks can be racist. Yeah, they can. Mm-hmm. Spanish people can be racist. Chinese people are racist. Mm-hmm. While blacks can't be racist. So
everyone has it in them.
Everybody has it in them. I mean, I don't hate nobody, but it's just the fact that when you see people like you have people that's racist, like, and it's hitting well, but not as, like, you know, what people think. Like, it's not just exposed. Like, people just say, oh, you're just a racist. Like, no, it's not like that.
See, what you'll hear black people say a lot of the time is that my racism is justified. And I don't agree with that, because no racism is justified whatsoever. That same white neighbor, Spanish neighbor, Asian neighbor that lives on my block, we will still go to the park and have a barbecue. There ain't no need for us to hate each other. For what?
Yeah.
Black people most certainly can't be racist. And that justification in them believing that because we were slaves or whatnot, that gives them the right to be racist is an absolutely wrong ideal to have.
Amen.
You know, I have so many friends from different races and cultures and whatnot. It baffles me. So much hate can exist here.
Don't you feel like being exposed to all those different cultures and everything enriches your life and your outlook on the world? And I mean, the stories you hear, the customs you learn about, the food you get to hear about or taste or try, or, you know what I mean? Just all these different things that go along with it, the different ways people view the world, you know? It's better.
You see, it's funny you brought it up like that, Infamous, because that leads into another topic, if I may segue a little, is
Good.
What you're talking about right there, and this is mainly focused negatively towards white people.
I think I know exactly what you're going to say.
Anytime we agree like that, it's cultural appropriation.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
And it's like, anything we like from another culture, we're stealing it.
Yeah.
But yet, it's okay for every other culture to go back and forth. And like, you know, one of the big ones that came up recently in the past couple of years was Halloween costumes. Oh, white kids can't dress up as Moana because that's cultural appropriation. Why is it okay for the little black girls to dress up as Cinderella because they love the story, but not okay for white kids to dress up as Moana because they're stealing their culture?
What's Moana?
Isn't
it like, it's like kids are the most innocent things on the planet with shit like that. They don't see the color.
It's just mostly adults, and that's what it is. It's mostly adults that do that.
Yep.
You know, like, I love Asian food. I've learned to cook so many Asian food dishes. I've learned to cook Indian food dishes. I like to cook. I don't see it as I'm stealing their culture by learning to cook their food. I'm appreciating it like, wow, our white-ass bland food don't taste like that.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I just have to say I was laughing a little bit there because something in game, not anything having to do with the conversation.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that people see it that way, you know? It shouldn't be. It should be like, hey, I have this custom, I have this, you know, belief, and I'd like to share it with you, and maybe, I mean, that's what you do when you have a friend or you have someone you fall in love with. If, you know, you're from different backgrounds, you share your customs with each other. Oh, we do Christmas this way. Or maybe we don't do Christmas, we do Hanukkah, you know, and you kind of explain that to your partner, and you know, and you decide between the two of you how what you're gonna teach your kids. You're gonna teach them both, or you're gonna teach them one or the other, or are you gonna let them choose their own way, you know? And go ahead, Curious, you had something to say?
I said, but I'm just saying, like, but people steal stuff all the time, and if that's the case, then people just copy it, because, you know, like, say in my neighborhood, whatever you want to call it, my hood, my neighborhood, like, I could buy a fresh pair of sneakers, and if somebody never seen them before, then they want to get them. So it's like, it's the same thing. But if somebody say, nah, it's different. How is it different?
I think there should be a defining way to explain what cultural appropriation is. You know, based off of Google, it's the adoption of the elements of one's culture. When we say cultural appropriation, it should really mean the overtaking or the claiming of someone else's culture, which is a completely different thing. You know, if I'm black and let's say we're known for, let's say, fried chicken and watermelon, right? Now, if we suddenly decided we wanted to eat crumpets and biscuits all day and we claim that as we're the ones that invented it, then that would be appropriating someone else's culture and then claiming it as your own.
Yeah.
And I feel like that should be more accurately described as what cultural appropriation is. When you claim something from another culture as your own, as if you invented it or created it. Sadly, that's not the definition, but I feel like that's where it gets lost in translation.
At the end of the day,
but at the same time, like, you know, white people love fried chicken. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we do. At the end of the...
what though?
Go ahead.
Like, I gotta make this comment because, like, y'all gotta check this out if y'all haven't seen it. I'm sorry, guys. I understand y'all are black, but y'all ain't got shit on the fucking Chinese and their love of fried chicken.
Really?
It is their national dish. They go
fried chicken,
all
duck.
fucking out. Look up Chinese fried chicken videos and there ain't nobody who loves it more than them.
That's why we go to the Chinese store and get their chicken wings.
There you go. They do make some badass chicken wings. No, Infamous, I'm driving that.
I didn't know that,
Sorry,
man.
guys.
That's my bad.
It's cool.
I got some in front of me right now.
Have you ever
keep me from eating?
You ever guys hear the saying, though, imitation is the highest form of flattery? Yeah, you should be, like, I try to tell that to kids when they say, oh, he's copying me, you know what I mean? Like, if somebody wants to copy you, it's because they think you're cool. They're looking at what you're doing or how you're acting or whatever it is about you, and they think, I want to be that, because that's cool. So you should feel like, wow, they think I'm cool enough to imitate me. They think I'm cool enough to copy me. Not like, oh, don't do the same thing as me. That's my thing. You can't do it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand that whole line of thought.
Well, nobody wants to feel like they're being replicated. I can kind of understand it. You are your own individual. You exist as your own individual. You you do things for yourself and around others so that you stand out as an individual. And when somebody's trying to copy you, it can be rather irritating because, hey, there's only one of me. So I can kind of understand it.
But as long as they're not trying to overshadow you with what they're doing, which in the past I would say has probably happened, where white people have probably taken certain things of black culture and incorporated them into movies or entertainment or music or something, and then like tried to claim it as their own and made money off of it, and the originators of it that were black probably didn't, you know, see any benefit out of that. I'm sure that, and if you look back in history, you'll see things like that. I've heard before that, I don't know if he just got inspiration from the blues or something like that, Elvis, but people have brought him up before where he got, you know, he ripped off music of African Americans and moves and stuff, and
the blues and rock, man. Quote unquote, he stole it and made it his own.
But I mean, if you take something, if you take something and you twist it and you mold it to make it your own, then that's yours. Like, for instance, I'm making a YouTube video. I'm working on one right now where there's this gun in Destiny 2. You shoot them with the laser, they turn into an orb, right, on the ground. You pick up the orb and you could slam it on the ground, near another enemy to kill them with it, all right? And I thought to myself, you know what that looks like when you're shooting somebody and they turn into this little ball? That looks like Pokemon. Got to catch them all. So I'm making a parody song of the Pokemon theme song, and I'm going to sing it, which God bless anybody that hears my voice. But I'm going to sing it. I'm going to sing it over because I don't know how else to do it. I'm going to sing it with the instrumental version of the theme song playing in the background to some PvP gameplay and stuff of that with but I'm twisting so many different words. I'm changing so many different words in the song to be my own words and different lines and everything. So the only thing that's still going to be the Pokemon song is like a few words here and there and the actual music. You'll know that it's inspired from that and it's from that, but it's a parody. You know what I mean? So is that mine? Did I steal that? Did I appropriate that? Or because I changed so much about it and I'm the one singing it and I've got my gameplay on the video in front of it, is it then okay for me to make money from it if that video blew up and I made money from it, you know what I mean, or something? Is it okay? Is that art? Is that my own creation?
No, that's your own creation. I mean, think of Weird Al Yankovic or any of the other great parody artists out there.
Yeah.
You know, they establish that it's a parody and that they're not stealing it, so there's no issue. But people put too much emphasis on what's black and what's white.
Mm-hmm.
I could go mayonnaise is white, and like, who is that true for? I don't mind mayonnaise.
I like how you brought that one up because like it leads me to a question, and this one like I've gotten mixed results from so many different people I know. What exactly is original black culture? Because, and like this is a little technical, but when they were brought here as slaves, they weren't allowed to practice their own cultures. You know what I mean? So if you're not doing the shit from Africa, that's not original black culture. You know, they adapted things they saw here and turned it into their own. So wouldn't, like, by those rules, they stole their whole culture?
It would be Native American culture.
Or African American, wouldn't it?
No, I said Native because this land doesn't belong to the Europeans and the Spaniards and whoever else came over here.
Yeah, it belongs to the Indians.
Right, Native American, which is the quote-unquote correct term.
Yeah, you're right. I'm too old and I still say some of the old shit. Like, I grew up saying Oriental, too, which was apparently very offensive now to Asians, or... I don't even know if you're allowed to say Asians or if you have to know which one you're talking about. Chinese, Japanese.
Most it would be like of Asian descent is the proper phrase.
Yeah. So you gotta like take a course.
Asian Pacific Islanders.
You gotta take a course to learn all this shit so you don't offend anybody. All right, let's move on to another, because I got a lot of topics. Unless somebody has something else really pressing you want to say, I want to move on to another topic. We're 38 minutes in, and I've only gotten two of my dozen and a half talking points talked about.
They just segue so well, though.
No, I mean, you guys are doing fantastic. I think this is great. I just want to cover some of this. So the riots, the looting, and the vandalism, right? Now you got the peaceful protests going on, right? And that's all fine and dandy. We all agreed with that. I mean, with a little bit of exception to the breadth across the nation of them being conducted, or the length of what they went on, we do generally agree that the protests were okay for the most part. The riots, the looting, and the vandalism, starting with... Let's start with Guts this time. Do you feel that it was in any way justified? Do you feel that it was linked to the same people that were doing the protests? Or do you buy into the theories that are going around that like that was a separate group of people, and that most of that was conducted by like Antifa and like by white people and just other people that were opportunistically, say, oh, there's all this chaos going on, I'm going to run out there and I'm going to steal a bunch of crap.
Did Day just kill himself?
Day just did some silly shit because it's Day.
I mean, to stay on topic, sorry. I don't think the writing is ever justified.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it was all the people rising up against the government, because let's say we get a president who declares martial law for no reason, starts limiting our rights and shit, that's different.
Mm-hmm.
But the honest, peaceful protesters, you know, like I said earlier, the people were arrested right away. They got what they were going for. Even if you wanted to keep saying it, what was the point of getting violent? And the groups that are coming out, Antifa, I don't ever agree with Antifa. They're just looking for shit to do because that's what they want to do. And they want to just grab in wherever they can. Now, personally, like, I live in San Antonio, Texas. We had a very peaceful protest demonstration in one of our big parks, and it was fine. Their time was up. The police went out there and said, thank you for coming. Thank you for staying this way. Your time is up. We need y'all to disperse so we can get back to the regular, you know, traffic and regular patterns around the city. And they started moving on and did just fine. And then within 30 minutes, people from that group plus another group both showed up in the same place and started tearing downtown apart. Smashing stores, windows, looting, shit. And, you know, and our police did end it quickly without getting super violent. But, yes, I agree there are groups coming in from outward to have their hand in it. But you can't deny the fact that people who were down at the first protest were still there. And, like, it got over it pretty quickly here, where, like, everyone went out in force saying, like, this is not how we do shit here. We do not need this. This was pointless, you know. Everyone going out the next day helping clean up and set stuff up. And, you know, you saw the dark side of it, and then you saw the good side of it, where the good people came back out to fix it. But, like, elsewhere, where they're burning police stations, they're burning stores, smashing storefronts. I mean, if you're going for the whole Black Lives Matter side, why are you destroying black businesses?
Yeah, they got way, you know, like, they weren't, it wasn't, a lot of it wasn't just focused on symbols of oppression and symbols of white power or anything like that. It were, you know, perceived white power. It was, a lot of it was just opportunistic looting.
Whatever they could get their hands on, let's smash it. Let's take it out.
Like, one that got me too was the World War II memorial in Washington. Like, there's black soldiers that died in that just as much as white. Like, what sense does that make? What is, like, I don't, that just seems like mindless to do that. I don't get that at all.
I can't remember the exact regiment number, but the black soldiers who had their own unit in the Civil War, who fought for the North, that they defaced their murals.
I just wanna say that history is not taught the same everywhere.
It should be.
And this is something that me and Sirius talked about, and that's educating yourself. There's an abundance of knowledge of history between the four of us here, I'm sure. But I guarantee you that all of our history is not the same if we were to recall the same events.
Oh, for sure.
You know, some of us have gone deeper into it, some of us not as much, some of us might have just taken the school's version of it. And when it comes to a group of people, that history can be twisted for someone's agenda. They could have easily said they were white and they fought for the South, even though it's a Northern memorial. You feel me? So I'm not going to try and sit here and fucking understand the rhyme or reason to why people do things, even if it doesn't make sense to me, because nobody has my level of knowledge or your level of knowledge. They just know what they're told. True.
Yeah. I was going to bring up, before you say what you want to say, Sirius, I don't want to forget to say this. I think I could see some motivation from it might have come from, you know, when you talk about the Civil War unit, or like when you think to World War II, the black soldiers, a lot of them were segregated. They even though they were fighting for our country, they were not treated as equals. They were not allowed to fight in mixed units, you know, like you had the Red Tails, I think they were called in World War II, the all black
Airmen.
Yeah, exactly. You had like
I've
things like that.
personally met some of the Tuskegee Airmen. They
Yeah.
are amazing people.
I'm sure they are, but the way they were treated was not right, you know, like yes, they got the opportunity to fight first, but they tried to get them to fail too, like it was messed up. So if you look at it from that point of view, if someone's looking at it from that point of view, I could see the anger towards the shrine then. You're like, you know, we weren't treated right back then, and that, you know what I mean? F that time, you know, F this thing. I can kind of get my brain there, you know what I mean, to see that person's perspective. That's something that a lot of people don't do well, is try to see other people's perspectives. Either they see their way, and they just get a tunnel vision on their way, and that's it. Nothing else can be seen. Sirius, you had something to say. I don't want to stray too far before you forget what you were going to say.
Oh no, I was just saying, like, you know, mostly it's like, you know, I mean, you're showing like just people believe. Like I don't like what they did, but it's like as people believe on like with the history monuments, but with the riots and stuff, it's two different parts with the riots. I do understand, and it's a different part where I understand where you coming from, because like one part is like some people look at it as like, from my side, like from you know, from people like they don't own nothing, so that's like, why the fuck do they care? It's like, you know what I'm saying, they look at it like they don't own anything, so there's like, why the fuck do they care? They don't own nothing. They try to get something, they don't have nothing, and they look at it as like they just take it from us. But then there's people that's like, yo, listen, there's other things that you have to do. What you got to do, you got to follow the books. You got to follow all the books, but you got to keep your credit up and stuff like that, and try to abide by the law and follow the books. And some people just like, you know, some people don't follow it. Some people like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, but they don't really do it. And that's why, like, some people's like, y'all don't have nothing, and then some people complain about it, and some people just get mad. And it's like, you know, like with the money, like pretty soon enough, like everything that's going on, like that's not going to be money. It's going to be just more about credit and cards. So you ain't going to be having money soon. So that's what I'm looking at. That's why I see like everything that's going on now. Like there ain't going to be no more money soon with the riots and stuff. It's just going to be more about a card or your credit. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay. So, real quick before we talk more on... Question? What's that, Crimson?
So what was the original question?
The original question that we spun off of from all that, we were talking about the riots and the looting and the vandalism.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we spun off in some different directions, but that's fine. That's what happens in a good conversation.
Yeah.
Guts, so you're going to join the MC to do the sale?
Justify... Oh, my bad.
MC
was the
invite.
original writing ever... Whose is it? Like,
I'm so serious. I'm so serious. You may have to send you another one. Good. Say what you're gonna say, and then I want to move on to the next talking point.
And then, like, were there other groups who came in and did the shit, even though they weren't part of the main group?
Oh yeah. Do you feel?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Do you feel that if you didn't get the chance to speak on this yet, anybody? Do you feel that, you know, there were actual conspiracies to make the oh god, I can't talk sometimes. The protesters look bad, and to try to squash the message by looting and rioting, to try to, like, you know, force confrontation between the cops and the protesters. You know
I have a firm belief that no matter what you do in peaceful protest or not, there is always somebody somewhere sowing seeds of chaos just for the sake of chaos.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's me.
Agreed.
That's all I really have to say on it. Someone's going to sow some seeds of chaos somewhere, whether or not I believe there's a conspiracy or not.
Yeah. Guts, you should have an invite to the building.
I'm going.
Okay. No, you're heading in the wrong direction, though, and you were far. So you want to take the invite.
It's fucking day, that's not it.
I'd already pressed the button.
Gotcha. All right. So next talking point is this one may be a short conversation, it may not, I don't know. I have heard where if somebody says Black Lives Matter and somebody responds with All Lives Matter, that different people view it as a different thing. And that's, you know, some people say, okay, the All Lives Matter person shouldn't be saying that. And then other people will say, well, the Black Lives Matter shouldn't. It should be Lives Matter in general. But then I hear somebody talk about it, and they're saying all we're asking for is that Black Lives Matter. Yes, your life matters too, but can you just acknowledge the fact that Black Lives Matter? And, you know, you don't have to counter it. You can just acknowledge it. You know what I mean? What do you guys feel about that? What are your thoughts about that, if any? Serious? Or who's that laughing? Crimson?
Uh-oh.
That's me laughing.
Go ahead. Go. You got something to say clearly. Go ahead.
The way I look at it is like this. If I have a dog and a cat, and I consistently, I don't know, let's say beat my cat, and my cat goes, my life matters just as much as the dog, cat lives matter. I'm not saying that the dog's life doesn't matter. I'm just saying, you're kind of fucking me up here. Acknowledge that I exist as an equal to the dog.
Yeah.
That is the easiest way I can explain that whole argument.
You see, I also see it on a different side of that. And like the way I've seen it explained out there, it's not that, you know, the one cat is saying you're not beating the dog. It's, well, you have 10 cats and 10 dogs, and you beat 6 of the cats and only 3 of the dogs. So the cats are obviously beaten more. But, like, the way it actually, like, you can look up statistics anywhere. You know, okay, black people are killed by the police. Yes, this is wrong. White people are killed by the police. Yes, this is wrong. You know, people use the analogies of the house is on fire. Yeah, but your house isn't on fire. Yeah, your house matters too, but yours isn't on fire. But it's actually 40 of y'all's houses are on fire and 50 of ours are, but because you only own those 40 houses, it's worst on y'all. And it's like, it's a slippery slope, but it doesn't add up. Yes, Black Lives Matters. Yes, everyone's lives matters. Yes, something happened to George Floyd and other things, but, you know, the big one you see out there with the defending it or arguing against it is the fact that there's a lot happening that isn't just based on one side or the other. Like, the big one with Black Lives Matters is give me 1 second. You know, the white cops are doing this. The white people are doing this. And it's happening to everyone. If it's a higher percentage, maybe, but there's still a higher number happening to other people.
If you go on the Black Lives Matter website, it says the description for the movement is for the liberation, progression, and the knowledge of black people to move forward in this country. It's not saying this percentage, that percentage, this number, that number. It's saying, I get things happen to you, and we fully understand that. No Black Lives Matter activist is going, your life doesn't matter because only Black Lives Matter. It's saying, hey, we've been in a minority for such a long time. Can we be allowed to have that recognition and be seen as an equal to those who have had a bit more wealthy of an experience? And I can't get the wording for that because my brain is scrambled today. But
understood.
Just because 50 of your house is on fire and 40 of my house is on fire doesn't mean that I'm not sad that your 50 houses are on fire. I'm just saying that you'll probably get that insurance and we'll probably have to fight for that insurance. There's no equal footing there. You know, it's not to say that we won't get it. It's just to say that we may have to fight a little harder for it than you. We're still not considered that equal. You know, when you're looking at Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter, again, we're fighting for us. This movement isn't for white, Asian, Puerto Rican, whatever. You know, it's for us. And as Infamous said, why can't you just see that, hey, we're reaching out and we're saying that we matter just as much as you do? And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying my life matters just as much as yours. That shouldn't be lost in translation. We're a human being, treat us like one.
Now, where I agree with that, you're talking about the original founders and the true message of Black Lives Matter. Like if you go on their website, you cannot tell me if you watch all the videos of the different protests and stuff, they're all carrying Black Lives Matter sign. They're all chanting it and screaming it while screaming "fuck white people."
You see, but here's the thing: there's extremists everywhere. I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, we may not lose some black people in the process, or we may not lose some white people in the process. It's like when Trump got elected. You know, everybody started turning against each other, and for what? We're not against each other. I'm not sitting here saying, well, fuck you because you're white. We're talking. But some people decided, you know what, fuck white people, fuck black people, fuck Asians.
And that's why I love us being able to do this, because you can have an open dialogue and conversation without it just being, well, you disagree with me, so fuck you.
Yeah,
and fuck all your people to boot because you disagree with me. Like, no, that's not the way it works. This is how you talk and build bridges and get people to try and change their side and point of view.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you're going to define Black Lives Matter, understand what it means before you just start to deflect.
Now, the original, like from the original, yeah, that's from the original people, but it's like so much more to the story, and then it's like there's two sides. Like there's always two sides to every story, and then when you watching it, the original people did say it, but then it's another group also is using it and taking advantage of that Black Lives Matter, and it's not just the people that's like, you know, that's the original founders, but it's more the people that's like doing it for the media, and that's what they're using it for the media and doing it for the clout.
And did you know that Black Lives Matter actually has a report misinformation page on their website so that they can actually control the misinformation given about the movement itself?
Yeah, that too. But at the same time,
believe it or not,
but they can't really do as much.
I've been on their site recently since our last little conversation, reading up about it and reading their things. But even with that, even if there's people out there using their name against it, you can't repair that image.
Yeah.
Let's seriously talk
about
this. He hasn't gotten to talk much on this particular point yet. Let's seriously.
No, I mean it's fine. I was like, you know, I agree with him, and it's making the people that like the co-founders, making them look bad, and at the same time, they're making everybody else that's like my color and your skin color look bad sometimes as well. And it's like enough is enough. Sometimes, like we got our point across. Like that's how I see it. And it's like, all right, you go to a store, right? And then somebody's like, oh, you can't come in the store. Why can't come in the store? Oh, well, you ain't got a mask on. Oh, well, you know what? Fuck that. I'm going to use that against you. Oh, this person, I'm gonna put the phone out. This person said I can't come in the store because I'm black. And some people use that just for clout. And I see some of it, and I see some of that shit in front of my eyes, and the shit is fucking sad. And it's like, you know, and you know, like, and this is why people are the way they are right now, and acting the way they are right now, because of that. Now, you know, with the equality, I agree with equality and everything. Like, I think there should be equality for everybody. You know, there's brutality everywhere. Not just like, you know, brutality, but like it's not just black people. It's not just, you know, they're not just going around looking for a black person just to beat up on. No, not just a white person who they beat up on. There's just cops that have sometimes they have that alter ego, and some people know that as well.
Oh, I totally saw that even working as a prison guard.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's like I agree with the Black Lives Movement, but I think it should be more where it should be like stop police brutality, like more of that. And I think everybody should, like, you know, come together. Like, you know, the thing with Kaepernick, what's his name, the football player for the 49ers, Colin Kaepernick. Yeah, Kaepernick. You know, with the flag, right? He didn't want to, you know, he had his he put his knee on the flag, which, you know, I kind of disagree. I do disagree with that, but at the same time, I know he was trying to make like a point across. But if you wanted to stand against something and want to burn a flag, you should have burned the blue, the black and blue and white flag. That's the like
line.
Yeah, exactly. That's more of like for the police thing. Now the American flag, that's just for the country, for what, you know, everybody knows the you know the Navy, SEAL, Army, all that, you know, the country fought for. And so, you see people like burning the flags, and it's just like, I think it's just terrible. I think it's terrible, but you know, some people just think it's like, oh, it's police brutality. No, it's not. You shouldn't even look at that flag as that. You should look at the other flag if you think police brutality is that. You don't look at that flag because people fought for our country.
Fought for your rights to disagree with what's going on.
Yeah.
There's still countries in this world you can't disagree with the government or they will fucking lock you up.
Alright, let's move on to the next thing. We've got Black History versus all history. In other words, like Black History Month and all that kind of stuff. How do you guys think there should still be a Black History Month? Should there be, all history should just be included in the main courses, and maybe some of the stuff that's considered Black history right now should be expanded upon more, because there's not enough of them being represented. Like, I've heard people talk about, you know, there's other people of notable, you know, notable in the history of Black culture that should be talked about and taught. It's not just the same few like Harriet Tubman and them that they teach now. You know? Do you guys have any thoughts about all that? Do you feel like it further serves to separate us and to make us feel like separate peoples, not all one nation, by having...
And should everybody
Black
have
history?
their own history month?
I mean, shit, is there enough months in the year?
No.
Well, I don't agree with Black History Month, to be honest with you. I think there should be history, but we all should know our history. Like, you know, I don't think we should just know about like common people on just like, you know, what they got, like Martin Luther King. That's only history that Black people really know on that whole year, right? You know, I think they should have like Malcolm X. I know they have Frederick Douglass, but there's other people, like you should have George Washington Carver. They don't have people like that. They don't have none of those like you know, those type of fathers and stuff like that.
Those heroes of
exactly.
The revolution, the Black revolutionary heroes.
Yeah, but they say
the Revolutionary War.
Yeah, but they just say Black History Month. Why don't you have people names, like just say their names or put a day, just like Martin Luther King. You know, I really don't agree with the Black History Month because you just know Black History Month and then people just say a name. Why don't you just pick a day where you know these heroes or this person did something for that day? You know what I mean? That's how I see it.
And not just for big things, but for little things too.
Exactly.
I don't agree with Black History Month. I feel it's rather disrespectful to take someone's history and then say, hey, this is when you get to learn about your culture, and then the rest of the year is free for everyone else all year round. I think that's really wrong. Do I think Black history should be taught? Yes. But at the same time, how much of Black history do they actually know to be taught? you know, we've had basically the same education system and the same type of curriculum being taught in schools for generations now. How much of our history is actually lost to the education system?
Serious, join the MC.
Oh, my bad.
You know, just a couple names that could be thrown out there is Garrett Morgan, Lewis Howard, Elijah McCoy, Lonnie Johnson, Patricia Bath, Garnville Woods. I mean, there's a bunch of people who have invented just common things to make our lives easier that didn't have a patent and got stolen by someone who is not of color, and you know, they have their name slapped on it, and suddenly it's quote-unquote white people invented everything. I really think it's important to understand where your ideas come from and how this country is supposed to inspire each other through diversity. And unfortunately, with things like Black History Month, I don't feel like that's the thing that is being pushed forward.
I think it had its day where it was useful, where there was none of that being taught in schools. But it's gone now. It needs to be incorporated into, like you're saying, history is history. All of it should just be incorporated into one thing. So, like, when it comes to the part in your history book where you get to the year where, you know, Martin Luther King and the Million Man March and all that happened, you just have it in that chapter. It's not its own separate month. It's not its own separate chapter that has all the African American history in it. It's just, when you get to that part in the chronological order of the years, you cover it. You know, it just same way we cover, the same way we cover a lot of other stuff. Like, why does it have to be separate? It shouldn't be. That way, everybody feels like, okay, this is the history of all of us.
Yeah, and then like you when
see. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
You see, like, down here, like, the way Infamous is describing it is the way we were taught. Like, It wasn't just we only learned about black stuff during Black History Month. It was, you started world history, you know, U.S. history, Texas history, and whenever it came up as this is when it happened chronologically, that's when we were taught about it. It wasn't like we didn't touch civil rights until February. It was like, no, we're covering this, you know, we're covering this era of time, and this is what happened. The most important thing was the civil rights movement.
See, that should be standardized, though, because it's a federal...
I guess that's regional. Like, it's different. Like, I didn't know they don't teach it that way outside of here.
Schooling is, if I'm not mistaken, isn't the public schools, like, governed by a federal agency, or is that state level?
No, that's all state level.
See, that's stupid.
In Texas,
that causes more division.
The Texas Education Authority.
That causes more division among the country, because you're not even educated the same way then. So,
but here's the thing: it's not just at the state level; it's also done regionally.
Yeah.
Like, maybe Sirius is probably like in Brooklyn or Queens or something. The way they teach there is different from the curriculums and stuff that we have down here in the Bronx. You know? And our textbooks over here may not be the same textbooks they get over there. In my textbooks, they have a specific section for Black History for that specific month,
really,
for that specific edition. And then the rest of the year is, we had slaves, we killed them, we whipped them, we raped them, and we built the country off of them. And that's literally what the textbook will say. And then February comes around and it goes, you guys are great. You had Martin Luther King and Harriet Tubman. Yeah. And then that's it.
No Rosa Parks? Oh, I'm sorry, that was sarcastic.
We learned Rosa Parks for like half a day.
But
I kid you not, like,
bro, it was just sit in the back. I mean, just sit and then want to move. That was, that's all she did. Like, you know, and
she actually did more than that. But I ain't gonna get.
I know, but but I'm just saying.
That's what you're
but
taught,
that's what they taught us, and that's what they taught us. That's what they taught us in school. That's all she did. That's what they taught us. But then you got like let's say the holidays, right? Christmas. You got Christmas, Kwanzaa, and Hanukkah, right? You know, like people that celebrate Hanukkah, they got a week off, right? And people that have Christmas, they have like a couple days off, right? And then when people have Kwanzaa, they don't have a day off. So it's like, why is that? So it's like, it's not, and it's not taught that as well. Some people's not taught that. So I think more and more, I think people should know about, Kwanzaa and stuff like that, because
now, what is the history that y'all know of behind Kwanzaa and taught about Kwanzaa? Because what they taught down here, I don't know if it was right or not, or how fucked up it was to even teach it that way.
I don't know shit about it. Go ahead.
Because what we were taught down here, and I can't remember his name to save my life, but the guy who started Kwanzaa was because everybody else has their fucking holidays, so we're getting our holidays too. And created Kwanzaa, and it's like, that doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Now, if there's some truth in that, please let me know, but I never liked how they explained that down here, really. So some black guy just said, well, fuck that, I want a holiday too, so I'm inventing one. That, I always said that to me sounded so fucking racist. and everyone down here was taught the same shit, so even my black friends from down here were taught the same shit, so we're all like, we don't fucking know.
The holiday was created in response to the Watts riots in Los Angeles in 1964, 65, something like that. And that's the reason why it was created. It was in response to some riot that I don't know the specifics of. I wish I knew the specifics of that riot so that I could give a little bit more knowledge on it, but
I know it's basically more for an African tribe and stuff like some.
Okay, here it is. So, an African American motorist was on parole for robbery. He was pulled over and basically killed, and then the riots start. And they were like, okay, let's have Kwanzaa to celebrate whatever the lives that were lost that day when the riots started. I think it was 34 riots and 40 million in property damage. Yeah, 34 deaths and 40 million in property damage or something like that. So they were celebrating the lives lost or something like that, and just like, hey, this is black culture. This is what we're celebrating it for.
I thought it was more than that.
That's the history of Kwanzaa.
Yeah, see, I thought it was more than that.
What were you taught?
I thought it
was more than that. I thought it was more more African tribe and stuff like that, not just riots and stuff like that. Because I've seen people with African tribes and stuff wearing hats and stuff like that, and there's African people that wear stuff that celebrate Kwanzaa and stuff like that.
The robes that they wear are garnered from African tribes, specifically the Zulu or the Ashanti tribes, and it basically represents fruits, peace, prosperity, stuff like that. And that's the point of the robes and the outfit. It's supposed to be a positive message.
And that's for that, right?
Yeah, that's for Kwanzaa.
Yeah, see, yes, and not for the riots, but. Jesus Christ!
No, he's saying the riots were the inspiration.
The riots were the reason.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
that's when it came about.
Gotcha.
And the outfits are to show peace and prosperity and bearing of fruits and harvest and all of that good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's there goes something I didn't know. I thought it was more to that.
I wish there was more to it too.
Like I said,
I'm about to go cause a fucking riot right now so I can celebrate Kwanzaa.
Like I said, what they taught us was kind of fucked up, but I mean, if you want to overgeneralize and blunt it down, then yeah. But still, I would have wanted to learn more about the riots and why they came together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For national holidays, they should be as inclusive as possible, but national holidays, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of government buildings shut down and things like that for those. Schools get released, things like that. So you can't have, because this country is such a melting pot of cultures, you can't have, we would have 2-3 months out of the year of days here and there where it's we have to shut down for this religion, we have to shut down for that culture, we have to shut down for these people, we can't do that. You can't run a country, you can't run a civilization like that. But they should be recognized, they could be on the calendar, they could be I'm going to take a personal day today and your boss doesn't give you shit about it, or, something, some kind of like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
But there are some cultures who can do that. And it's weird, exactly, who gets to do that and who doesn't. Because I remember different places I worked all the time. Where's this guy? We need him here. He was the one who's, oh, well, it's Jewish holiday. He's not going to be here. Like,
yeah.
We all have to be at work. We have to have this presentation done, but yet he's not going to be here, and he's the guy with the fucking files.
Yeah.
Well, it's his holiday. He's not going to be, like...
Guts, you're next, by the way, in the game. You can go to your business.
Oh, okay.
Alright, let's move on to the next thing. Black National Anthem. Has anyone heard this where... I didn't read it in a news article. I heard it secondhand. I don't know the truth of it. I think it's football games or baseball games.
Yes, the NFL.
The NFL, so football games. They're going to start playing the Black National Anthem, which I never heard of. I don't even know what it is. Maybe somebody can educate me on that. And they're going to play it before the quote-unquote white or just the old national anthem. Like, I didn't know. I thought we just had one national anthem, and I don't know if this is spurred on by the fact that Francis Scott Key, the guy that wrote the national anthem, I heard that he owns slaves, and that some of his statues were getting defaced and stuff during the riots and the looting as well too.
I don't know who's singing it. Beyonce.
Who's singing the Black National Anthem?
Yeah, Beyonce.
I have no idea what song it is or who originally penned it.
ESPN.com has a whole story about it.
Every Voice and Sing is widely regarded as the Black National Anthem.
Yes.
Every Voice and Sing?
Yes.
No, Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Every Voice and Sing is the name of the song.
What's the origin of the song? Does anybody know?
Get more information on that.
Okay, I should have probably done more research.
Of the song myself.
I know who it's by. I just don't remember what year it was created.
Despite what I really want to talk about though isn't necessarily where did it come from, who wrote it, what's the origins of it. I mean, it's cool to know that stuff, but do you feel that serves a positive purpose, a positive influence? Or does it further separate us? Does it make us like, okay, well, I'm going to stand for my national anthem and I'm going to sit for yours? I think
the more you try to divide, or the more you try to insinuate one side or another, the more you separate us. If I go, girls like pink and boys like blue, you're sending the message that girls can't like blue and boys can't like pink. You're just further dividing them when in reality they can like whatever the fucking color they want.
Exactly.
Beautiful analogy. Good way to put that.
Thank you.
Serious thoughts on that?
But yeah, Infamous, if you want to look into it a little bit more, ESPN has the full story on their page. Like, if you literally just Google Black National Anthem NFL, it will bring that up as the first thing.
Okay. Serious, were you gonna say anything on that?
Me, I'm just like in shock of words with that. Like, like what he said, like Chrism said, but it's like, you do the Black National Anthem, and then you got Nassau where they took their flag down. The Confederate flag, which, it's like, it don't make sense. Like, a lot of things just don't make sense. So it's like,
it's okay just for this side, but not okay for that side. Yeah.
So it's like, you're just trying to erase more culture from, I feel like you're just erasing culture. Why don't you just add culture? Like, just leave their culture alone and just stick with, I'm with the Black National Anthem. But at the same time, I think they should leave, like, what they beliefs are. They think, like, people believe that the Confederate flag was, if it was something else to them, then that's what it was. I mean, I know a little bit more with the Confederate flag, but some people think it was racist, and it wasn't. I mean, there's other flags that was considered racist that was used for, but a lot of people don't really see it as much. So, But I just see it like, I feel like they just, like you said, like just trying to, divide people, and it's not. I don't think it's right. It's crazy how you just look at it. It's like united we stand, divided we fall. It's crazy.
To me, it's one of those two. If there's that much hatred over even, let's say, the national anthem, get groups of people together and come up with a new one that can unify everybody. Not, well, so in 5 years we're going to have the Middle Eastern national anthem and the Asian national anthem and the church.
Yeah,
but I'm not going to bring in the American Indians because they do have their own stuff, but that's because they are still their own nation. And if y'all guys don't know, like, I'm mixed race. I'm Irish, Native American, and some other stuff mixed in there. So I have a lot of views from a lot of different sides. Now, if you go by what I look like, I just look like a Mexican. A big-ass Mexican. Tinted skin with jet black hair and cool brown eyes, but that's about it.
You were saying people heard your name when you were growing up and white boy, right?
Yeah, my last name is Fowler. I got the Irish last name out of all that. So, going to school with a bunch of Hispanics, I always got hated on because you're not Hispanic, you're white. No, I'm not Hispanic, but I'm not just white. Well, don't be around us because you're too white. And it's like, this is crazy.
That's right. That's right. I'm big, I'm black, and I got a mandingo. So, fuck it.
All right. Next thing I wanted to bring up, hold on, let me see here. I've got African American or just American. In other words, does it still serve a purpose, and is it beneficial to call someone an African American? I mean, or Asian American, even for that matter. Or any of that, or you got your national citizenship, whatever, you were either born here or you came to the country and you got your citizenship. Like my dad, my dad's born and raised in Italy, right? Came to the country, he emigrated here, he did the whatever you got to do to get citizenship. He's an American. He fought in the American Army for 20 years. He calls himself an American. I've never heard anybody say to him, "You're an Italian American." You're an American, right? So is it a positive thing to prevent racism, or does it further help racism stick around to call someone an Asian American, an African American, or whatever, versus just everybody's an American?
Go ahead, Sirius.
Oh, man. Well, obviously, I mean, I'm born in America. You're born in USA, so I'm obviously you're African American. So that's how I see it, as like, you're born in America. So like some people just think like, you're just plain African, and that's their beliefs. So people just got their own beliefs. But in actuality, I mean, you're really an American. You're born in the USA. You wasn't born in a different country. If you're born in that country, like you said, you'll be living in that country, or you'll be having a green card somewhere. So, yeah, obviously, American.
How many people watch Gabriel Iglesias?
I do.
The comedian?
I love that dude.
Fluffy! Yes, or the show. Doesn't he have a show?
He has a show called Mr. Iglesias.
And it's great. But it's besides the point.
Okay, go ahead. I think I've seen some of his acts before here and there.
He has a special where he's talking about how he rose to basically his stature and all of the names he's been called over the years. And he's been called Fluffy, Spanish comedian, Mexican comedian, Mexican American, and how he feel like he wasn't going to ascend past these titles. That it took him to go all the way to the Middle East for the prince of some land to call him an American. And then he furthered to say that it is sad that I had to travel halfway across the world to be recognized as an American.
Wow.
Yep.
Why do we do that in this country?
Because we have to quantify everything to separate each other. And it's stupid.
But we're taught that. It's people yelling out saying, I want to be called this, I want to be called that, or society telling you, oh, you can't say that, you have to say this. You know, or your parents teaching you, and it's got to stop. We got to, just countrywide.
There are a lot of them that they see it as the pride of their heritage. You know, the Mexican American, the Hispanic community, whatever they want to call them, the Latinx, I think, is their newest one.
The Latinx, all that shit annoys
communities, they don't want to be quantified with everyone else because they're not everyone else. Everything they've been through and their rise to where they are today, they don't want to be lopped in with everyone else. They want to be their own thing.
Guess what?
And I don't understand it.
We were all born. We're all going to die. We all bleed red blood. Right?
Agreed.
If there's a God, if there's a heaven and a hell, we're all going to one or the other. Like, I don't care if you believe if you believe in God at all. I don't care if you believe he's black, white, purple, green, or blue. He's there. If you don't believe in him, then you do whatever. Like, we're all the same. For the most part. Yeah, we have some different physical features amongst each other, but that's like, and we have different culture, but at the end of the day, we're all living in the same country, we're all citizens of the same country, so just refer to each other as Americans. They're fucking human beings. We just need to give everybody different labels, and then they get their feelings hurt if you call them the wrong thing. Like, it's stupid.
And, you know, and now, I'm sorry.
Nah,
I was just saying, I agree, but at the same time, like, you know, I agree with that. But this is why this is called the USA. It's a free country. So they want to be called that. They want to be different than they're different. So that's why, you know, it's a free country.
Yeah, but I mean, it even comes down to the fact that, okay, you want to be called that, right? Maybe your message didn't reach me. Maybe I didn't get the memo. You know what I mean? That's what you want to be called. And then because I call you the wrong thing, now you're jumping down my throat wanting to fight me because I called you the wrong thing. That happens.
Can we just agree that everybody's too fucking sensitive?
Thank you.
Agreed.
Thank you. I saw a comedian on TikTok say something to the effect of, oh, you can't say that or you might offend somebody. Well, fuck them. Let them be offended. When did somebody being offended become such a horrible thing? You know what I mean? It's not like, you know, you wake up the next day and you can't get out of bed because you're offended. You can't go to work. You can't lift your arm because you're offended. Nobody beat you up. Nobody fucking shot you. Nobody stole your wallet. You know, you just hurt your poor little sensitive feelings. You know what I mean? Like, God, is everybody so thin-skinned anymore? They can't take a joke?
Yes.
They can't understand a misunderstanding or something? All right. Does anybody have anything else more on that? Because I got more stuff to get to here. We haven't even gotten to some of the juicy stuff. Day sucks. Day definitely sucks. Who the hell's turn is it? Guts, it's your turn, right? There we go. Guts is firing.
Now. I just got to my bunker.
Yeah, I know. It's a hike up there to Paleto Bay. Now you see why we don't like it. Statues, icons, etc. So we're talking about Confederate statues. We're talking about the Colonel at Kentucky Fried Chicken, Uncle Ben on the box of rice, the Indian on the box of Land O'Lakes butter. You know, any iconography that exists. How do you feel about its removal or being altered? I heard maybe the Redskins might be getting changed or something too.
They've officially announced they are changing their mascot. They just don't know what they're going to.
Okay, for anybody that's listening or anybody here that doesn't know, the Redskins they're a football team, National Football League, and it's modeled after the Indians. They have like an Indian thing there, and the Redskins, so it's in reference to their the color of their skin. I mean, how do you guys feel about all that kind of stuff? Are you for it? Are you against it? Do you think there's a line that should be drawn to where some of it's okay, some of it's not? Sirius, go.
Me, I'm just still drawn on it. I'm still like just drawn. I still don't really understand it more. I really need to understand it, like with the Uncle Ben and Aunt Jemima shit. Like, I don't get it. I really don't understand that much because I like Uncle Ben and I like fucking Aunt Jemima, so that's I don't understand it. So
now,
fully.
Go ahead.
Oh, nah, you go ahead.
With that, like the Aunt Jemima and the Uncle Ben's is because, like, of course, the whole racist view because auntie and uncle were terms that families would use for their slaves, their house servants. You had a house slave that you liked a lot, you would tell your kids she is auntie whatever. And, you know, that was just something that was done. I don't know if it was true everywhere, but it was done in the South. So when the brands came to be, Aunt Jemima, you loved your house servant's food that she prepared, and you started mass producing it. So you put her name on it because you don't want the white people's version of that shit. You want the slaves' version of that shit. That was the good food. And, like, does that still bother any of y'all? Or are y'all still of the mindset of it doesn't bother y'all at this point?
Here's the thing. I know my family history dating back to 1609. Mm-hmm. My family is really good with keeping our family history. We have slaves in our family. We've had house slaves in our family. We've had all types of things and all different races and religions. And I don't give a flying fladoodle.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but to hear you say it like that.
I don't care. I get my history. I'm proud of my history. I'm proud that we're strong. And what the fuck does changing the label have to do with anything?
I agree with you. I honestly agree with you. And I still have some friends who are from strong Native American communities, Cherokee communities. They're pissed off about the Land O'Lakes shit. The Redskins, like the Redskins, they flat out said, okay, they want to change it, let's change it, because, yeah, that can be seen bad.
Aunt Jemima ain't do nothing but give me good syrup most of my life. That's all I care about. Like, I don't understand.
You know, and I need to make someone a road captain, don't I?
Yeah.
Bro. I don't understand it. When imagery starts becoming offensive, if it's not directly oppressive, such symbols like the Nazi symbol, you know.
Right.
I don't care what you're portraying, what you do. Like, no one's complaining that there's a bottle out there with a duck with an arrow through its neck. Like,
now, I'm going to flat out say this, and I'm going to apologize for using the term ahead of time. But if I created a brand of something and called it Nigga Tim's, I would expect you to be like, dude, what's your fucking problem? But that's a lot different than Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben.
First question I ask you is, what nigga did you use to make those Tims?
Exactly. You know, but like, I could see where that would be a lot more like, you did not. And then to find out that white boy fucking made this brand. But at the same time, yeah, you know, I could see that as like, what the fuck is your problem? But something as simple as Uncle Ben's, Aunt Jemima, hell, they're even going after Mrs. Buttersworth, and there's a commercial of Mrs. Butterworth flat out saying, we ain't telling you if I'm white or black. I'm too busy making badass syrup.
I was making the joke to my father. I held up the box of cake mix the other day. My little sister's making cake, and the Pillsbury Doughboy's on there. That little bastard's all white. Pure white. I said he's a white supremacist. They're gonna get rid of him next. Watch.
He's next.
Yep.
Look what the fuck they did. Look what they did to fucking Paw Patrol. That dog. Like.
Yep.
The fuck the dog do to anybody?
Patrol. They canceled Paw Patrol because of the police dog.
I'm gonna get a tank out, guys.
The fuck the dog do?
Because they're helping perpetuate the stigma of police brutality in children and trying to desensitize them to like the cops, and they shouldn't be.
I'm on the clock. What you want?
That dog wasn't going around whooping people up. What the fuck?
That's cancel culture right there, man.
Yep.
Weird.
That dog didn't do nothing.
Exactly.
I do have a question that I wanted to ask you guys, if it's okay with you, Infamous.
Go for it.
And it's based off of a Facebook post, which I'm going to read.
Okay.
I know a lot of people dislike Trump, but I have a question. Do people really put all the blame on Trump's administration as to why the United States has so many cases?
They're almost on you.
Do people not put any blame on the citizens?
Hold on, the phone.
The
for
game
GTA
was talking.
yeah, go ahead.
Right, okay.
Go ahead.
I said, do people put any blame on the citizens? I just see so much hate for Trump. He gets all the blame for everything, so much that if a dude himself creates a vaccine, no one would take it because Trump said, I made a vaccine. Stop being biased and stupid already. If you feel so upset about politics, get into politics. Stop sitting on the bleachers telling the players how to play. Do you agree that people just hate Trump for no reason? And do you agree that nobody blames the citizens for citizen actions?
I have to agree with that, or most of that. There are a lot. Not everyone does it, but there's a lot of people that everything is Trump's fault, no matter what. And I'm not a Trump supporter. And I do think there's too much not going after the citizens for what the citizens do. It's always someone else's fault and why it's okay they act the way they do, and it's not.
Serious?
I think they just always blame it on Trump, really. You know, everything's always Trump's fault. COVID, they blame it on Trump. Fucking everything's on Trump.
You know,
So-
like he said with COVID, like when it first started appearing in the news, I remember when Trump wanted to shut down borders and shut down flights, and we're not flying out of here, no one's coming back from these places, and everyone in the news medias and the other, you know, the other politicians were, he's overreacting, he's just trying to oppress our freedoms, he's trying to just create a state of fear and everything else, and then 2 months later when it's like, oh fuck, we're screwed, well, it's his fault, he didn't do enough. And it's like, y'all can't have it both ways.
Well, that's all political.
Yes.
That's the opposing party, and that's the companies and the rich, you know, backing that own the media, trying to push the political message they want to push. I mean,
And then the people...
Trump doesn't have absolute power. He's not a fucking dictator. You know, like, that's why I don't care about voting for the president. He can't really do a whole lot. Like, not as much as you think. You've got the... Oh my god, did that person just... Oh, they didn't go in the water, did you? Serious? Okay.
No.
You got the Congress, you got the Senate, you know, you got the state level of you know, doing what they're doing during this whole thing. You know, it's not all just him. And, like, he did do some stupid shit, though. Like, in my opinion, the way he should have handled it, he should not have been on... Remember when he was going on the news, like, every fucking day doing a conference and shit? And he's, like, standing at the forefront. I know he did bring some experts with him and let them talk here and there, but he should have mainly just taken the backstage to all of that. Like, you're not a medical expert. You're not an economic expert.
He has these people to deal with that shit.
Yeah, let them do what they're there to do, and then take the advice of what they say to do. You know, let the experts on the situation handle it.
And then, you know, he says it too. He says, yo, I'm not a scientist. I'm not. He says it in the beginning. He said, I'm not a scientist. Look it up yourself. I have scientists, doctors, and stuff like that. Talk to them. He tells you that. But then, like, you know, the media just, you know, they just edit that shit out.
Did you ever listen to the full thing? Hold on one second, Chris, because I just want to get my point across. Did you ever hear the full thing where he's talking about? He says something along the lines of, "It's too bad we can't inject ourselves with what was it, alcohol or antibacterial something, because that would kill it." But he doesn't say, "Hey, everybody, go out and do this." But that's what you hear.
No,
that's what you hear, though. You know what I mean? And then and like you only get little bits of the conversation. That's the problem with a lot of media and with like things like Twitter and stuff. You get these short little bits, and you miss out on a lot of shit. The bulk of the problem in this country has been when the government, whether it's state or federal, says, "Hey, you wear a mask. Hey, stay home. Hey, you know, when you go here, this place has the right to refuse your service to you because they're only allowed to have so many people in the building at a time, or because you don't have a mask on. People are like, F this, F that, it's a government conspiracy, it's my right to not wear a mask if I don't want to wear a mask, there is no illness, nobody I know has it, therefore it does not exist. I had a kid in a voice chat that we play with, Meme, you guys probably know Meme, if you play GTA or Destiny, in my clan, and he said, oh, I don't think it exists. I'm like, okay, does anybody in your immediate family have cancer? And he said somebody had, like, gotten over it. I said, okay, what about AIDS? No, nobody's got AIDS. I said, well, do you believe AIDS exists? Well, yeah. Well, then why don't you believe COVID-19 exists?
Well, Trump did say, straight up, COVID is a hoax. It doesn't exist multiple times. And when the leader of your country says that, people will believe you.
Yeah, there's been mixed messaging. He said, like, the government was telling us not to wear masks. They didn't do anything. And the reason behind it was, and Fauci even came out and said it after the fact, like in the past couple of weeks or a month or two, that the reason they did that was because they were worried that the general populace was going to suck up the limited supply of masks and then the hospitals wouldn't have them. You know?
Which they did.
But that's the wrong way to handle it, too. If you would have came out and said, listen, masks do help, but if you stay the hell home, you don't need them. So stay the hell home. We're going to give all the masks to the medical professionals right now, and we're going to start getting more and producing more, so as soon as we lift the bans for you to come out of your house, you'll have access. You know? That's what they should have done.
You don't have the right to tell me I can't have the masks.
Yeah. Let's not dwell on this subject for too long, though. Simply, it is a really good topic, but we're going to do a whole episode on the coronavirus, and that fits way better in the coronavirus episode than it does in the racial tension episode. So what else do I have here? Let me see before I say, because we're already at 1 hour and 41. Is anybody on a time limit tonight?
Negative.
Not really.
Serious?
No, sirree, Bob.
Alright, let's see here then. Okay, we got... Alright, this is all... most of what I have left has to do with cops. Or police. However you want to say it. Let me see, whose turn? Who did we just do? Guts? So, Sirius, your turn. What did you just say? Your mic cut out.
Uh-oh.
Your bunker? Are you out of the room or something? Because your mic is cutting out.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfectly.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my bunker.
Okay, bunker. I'll drive us there. Better police training. And I've got a lot of different little subtitles to better police training. Let me cover some of these real quick. I'm not going to be able to drive and do that at the same time, though. Okay, so... where is it? Like, getting police to be more active in the community. Hold on. Okay, this is more along the lines of police training. Making sure police know the laws just as good as citizens do. You know, so that you can't have, like, a police officer arresting someone when they're not actually breaking the law, when they're doing something that's within their rights. Now, obviously, police are human beings. They don't have computerized brains. They can't just call up whether something's a law, you know, off the top of their head all the time. But they need to have better education, because sometimes it's severely lacking as to what the laws are. And maybe we could, you know, outfit them with, you know, I mean, geez, your cell phone could even, like, do the job, couldn't it? Of, like, is this a law or is this not a law? You know, can't you just Google it? Is it that hard?
No,
but it's different everywhere you are.
Yeah, but I mean, you just say, is this a law in this state, in this county? You know? If, you know, at the very least, you should know the vast majority of the laws in your state, county, whatever.
You should.
If you're a police officer.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should know your jurisdiction.
Yeah. And if nothing else, you could have a book or because it's not, you know, it's the information age and it's a technological age, you could have like a tablet on you or something that has all of that on it, and with that you could easily reference something, so you know, okay, yes, this citizen is not breaking the law, or no, they are, and you can correct them, and you know, whatever. Because there's times where someone is open carrying per se, or something. I've seen this come up a lot because I watch a lot of gun rights stuff, so I'll see videos pop up where someone's open carrying where it's legal to do so, and the police will try to arrest them for it. You know, if you don't know what I mean by open carry, means carrying a firearm right on your person in plain sight.
Yep.
I know.
Okay. Well, some people even watching or listening may not. Alright, this is your bunker. I'll call Lester real quick. Don't shoot any more rockets. Oh, you're just gonna
Here
jump
in
out?
New York.
Alright.
But there's guys getting out and shooting at us.
Yeah, well, once I call Lester, all that'll go away.
These are cops?
Which one of my skills?
When you get a high enough wanted star, the military comes after you.
Oh, okay. So don't kill the Humvees. Got it.
Correct.
In New York.
I'll be...
So how do you guys feel about...
Especially when it comes to traffic laws.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of gray area with that, because you can't plan for a human being being deceitful. I do think police need better crises training, better firearms training, better stress management. I mean, there's a lot that I could go into about how police officers should be trained. But let's look at the training that they already have respective to its state, which I feel like is important whenever you bring up this topic. You should always say respective to their state or jurisdiction, because every officer is trained differently depending on where they're at.
Yeah.
Right.
I know down here, I went through more training to go to be a prison guard than cops do.
Here in New York.
And that was, when I heard that the first time, I thought that was kind of crazy.
Here in New York, I think you get the basics. You get a couple classes to learn what laws you need to learn for whatever role you're doing, and then the rest is up to you to study. They get basic hand-to-hand combat, basic firearms, and then they kind of just throw you out there.
Wow.
It would be nice if, like, they had advanced combat, advanced firearms training, situational trainings. If they had crisis management, like I said, stress management trainings, how to conduct yourself in certain situations, but they don't get any of that.
Apply the supplies and take them back to the...
What officers do get that is the SWAT, but not everybody is SWAT.
Right.
And I feel like everybody should receive the SWAT training, and the SWAT training should be like
mandated.
Advanced Vance placement. If you're going into like some special police squad or something.
You know, it's just like when I worked at the prison, you had the basic, and then if you were on, they're called 5-man cell extraction teams. If you were on a 5-man team, you had to go for more training to know how to deal with that situation, because the 5-man teams are literally the guys you are going in the cell, fighting the inmate and taking him out of the cell. Whether he assaulted an officer, another inmate, whatever, he's coming out of there and he's refusing. So go get him. You know, we had to have extra training for that. And every so often we had to go back and redo our classes.
Right,
so,
because if you feel your life is in danger, the correct response is not "let's kill this person." It should be "let's subdue this person."
Right.
Let's make it safe for us.
Very
not
much so.
Let's take this person's life.
Even to de-escalate the situation, to like talk to the person and calm them and make them feel at ease that their life is not in danger, that you're not there to, you know, be an aggressor towards them. You're the one that's, okay, you broke the law, now you got to deal with me, you know, or somebody called and said you're breaking the law. Talk to me and let's figure this out. Let's determine whether or not I got to take you in, or the person that called is full of shit. You know, don't just immediately respond to a police officer with aggression, or, vice versa, the police officer to not respond immediately with aggression towards a person that's potentially breaking the law or whatever. You know what I mean?
There's a video up. Not sure if you guys seen it, where it's an unarmed kid, man, whatever he was, and his girlfriend. They were walking out of the hotel room, and officers were like shouting at him. And the kid was trying to comply with everything the officer said, and they ended up shooting him on the spot.
They need to be charged.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll actually share the video if I can to the chat, and you guys can watch it on your own time.
I mean, there's nothing.
What was his name?
I don't know his name.
There's nothing you can do in that situation if they're in the wrong. So say exactly again what happened. He was complying and they just opened fire.
Yeah. So the whole situation is, the kid came in with a BB gun rifle, I think it was, for his job. And he had it concealed and wrapped and everything. Somebody at the hotel reported it. And they're coming out of their hotel room, and these officers, all geared up, just start screaming and shouting at him and order him to do it. Get the fuck down, blah, blah, blah. I'm the officer. You will submit. Now, I'm going to tell you to do this, and you better do it. If you don't do what I say,
is that the one where he's crying, begging for his life, and they still shot him?
Sorry,
yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that one. That was fucked up.
That's not the way you handle the situation.
Obviously. Now, did they
they
find out?
told him, if you move again, we are going to shoot you. And he's crying, please don't. I'm trying to do everything. I'm confused. And he moves his arm, and they fucking open fire.
When did this happen?
I brought that up. See, this video was posted. This was 2 years ago. It says the video was posted.
Okay, so do we know if it was found out that they had malicious intent? Were they racist? Were they or was it just like...
The kid they shot was white.
Oh, yeah, it was a white kid.
That's not why I brought it up. Protocol. Why did you not, first off, see if this individual was the suspect you were looking for? They just come out the room and they're automatically pointing guns at them. Immediately hostile.
Now, I do not condone it, but I can give you the reason for that one. If it is reported there is a weapon or a firearm, they are 100% to act as if that person has a gun in your face.
I completely understand. But the kid was on the ground with his hands behind his arms at one point.
Right.
Not once did the officers approach him to check if he even had a firearm on him.
Yeah. One of them should be holding a gun on him, and the other one should be going up and like cuffing him and frisking him and all that stuff. And
thirdly, I understand you could treat the person as a hostile, but this kid was obviously shook into his core. He was crying. He was trying to comply. The officer didn't bother to lower his voice. He didn't bother to make the individual want to comply. It was just straight, you do as you're told, because I'm an officer. Or you're gonna
die.
Right. There is no form or protocol followed, nothing.
Now, have they got charged with it?
I don't know. I hope they did.
The police were never charged.
Wow.
And you know whose fault that was? It was the cop's fault. But who else's fault that was? Not the kid with the rifle. Whoever called it in.
Yeah.
That person should be charged.
Yeah. I would agree sometimes. If you maliciously called it in, like if you swatted someone, yes. If you were at a hotel, and like think about 2 years ago, the Vegas shootings. If you're at a hotel and you see somebody walking in with a fucking gun, you might be scared and call the cops. I saw someone walking into a hotel room with a gun. Now, the cops should be able to real quickly determine this is a fucking teenager. This is a kid. He's got no gun on him right now. Go in the fucking room and see if he has a real gun. He has a fucking BB gun. We're out of here.
Yeah. Yep.
You know,
I got you. I get you.
That's where I would say, no, they didn't deserve to be charged. They didn't know what was going on. All they saw was a gun. But I also believe in the fact, just because you see a gun doesn't mean you should be freaking out calling police because, I saw a gun.
Yeah.
People can legally own guns and carry them.
Yeah. Right.
You know, for all you knew, he just went to a youth shooting competition, was walking into his hotel room and putting the gun up to go to bed. Or to get ready to go for dinner because they don't want to leave the guns in the car. Just because you see a gun is not a reason to freak the fuck out that, oh my god, he's going to kill everyone.
Yep.
I would
Just
want
like
to... I would want to see and know more before I form too much of an opinion on that particular incident, but I agree with you. A lot of what you guys are saying.
Oh, when you see the video.
Oh, did you link
You'll be
it?
like, no, fuck away. Yeah, I linked it. It's in the chat.
Alright, I'll watch it. Go ahead, continue.
It's absolutely crazy. This is why we call it to reforming our police. And go ahead, Sirius. I know he's about to say something.
No, I was just saying, like, just like what the lady did to the guy when he was, I think, going on a run or whatever, a bird watch, and the lady just used her authority and just said, "There's a black guy harassing me." Like,
Now the real work can get started in the lab.
like I feel like that was like, wow, you should go to jail for that, for just calling on somebody that was just going on a run, and he's like, "Oh, can you please put your dog on a leash?" Because he don't know that dog bit or what. That was it. Like, some people, like, I don't like dogs that much either. So if a dog, like, if I'm thinking I'm going for a run, that dog's chasing me, I think that dog might just attack me. So he don't want to get bit by the dog. He's like, "Ma'am, can you please put your dog on a leash?" And if you don't, and she's like, "No, I'm not gonna do it. If I do, I'm gonna do something you ain't gonna like." And he fed the dog, and then she got upset with it. And he's like, because he don't even want to get bit by the dog. So she's like, "You know what? I'm going to use that I'm going to call the cops and use that as authority." Like, she used that as authority. And I think, she got fired from a job, which is good. But, I think, other than that, I think people that call the cops for dumb shit, for stupid shit, I think they should go to jail.
You see, the thing is, they're supposed to. I'm not maybe go to jail, but they're supposed to be given tickets and sent to court and shit. Because false reporting is a crime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not just filing a full police report. I call it on fucking Sirius saying he broke into my house and he stole my shit. He's never even been to my fucking house. But I still say it had to be him. I know it was him, that I saw him. That's a false police report. Now, if I'm calling in saying all sorts of shit and it's not true, that's false reporting versus a false police report, and they're both crimes. I know down here, false reporting is a Class A misdemeanor. A false police report is a C felony. Now, maybe they need to raise it up because the cops, well, fuck, it's a C misdemeanor. You know how much paperwork I have to do for this fucking shit? Bitch, knock it the fuck off versus I'm going to do all this paperwork. No, maybe bump it up to where you have to do the fucking paperwork and this will stop.
Well, I mean, you can file a report now if somebody does that dumb shit.
Yep.
Don't we live in just a beautiful, completely law-abiding country with absolutely no plot holes?
Nope.
It's beautiful.
Because so while there's a number of us who would, the number of us who won't is just too high. And I say us because talking with y'all and talking with Infamous, we're not all going out there doing fucked up shit trying to commit crimes and get away with it. That's why we play video games to do that shit.
You don't know my life. I could possibly... Let me stop on that.
No, like I said, by the way we talk. Besides that, I have no true interactions with y'all. For all I know, you are Ghetto-licious mega gangbanger, and I could be totally fooled.
I am not.
I'm trying to rob Day.
I do not
I'm trying
see
to rob
this.
Day. I'm trying to rob Day in real life,
Fuck
so
Day.
fuck that. Yeah, exactly. Fucking piece of shit.
Infamous, I think it's your turn.
Oh, I think Infamous is watching the video.
Yeah, he watched the video. Sorry, I'm yawning and talking.
Yeah, nah, it's alright. It's what, 7:56 your time?
You are correct.
Okay. So, oh, it's early. It's earlier for you than it is for me, at the very least.
Yeah.
I think Infamous probably...
I think reform is definitely necessary.
You see, I believe in reform and better training. I do not believe in this idea of defund them and disband them.
Well, disbanding is not actually a part of it. It's defund, but defund is really more so divert the funds that the police get in certain cities or states could be used to, you know, create a better education system, stuff like that. No, there's no reason why like $50 million need to be sunken into a police force that's the size of 500 people, you know. That can go to like a better education system there in the state. And I can understand diverting some police funds to that, you know. Maybe if we had more schools or more programs and opportunities.
Like you said, though, you have the right phrase there. Divert funds and redistribute. Defund means you just cut their budget. Like, no explanation, we're going to move it here. It's, they don't need this money at all, so we're taking it all away.
Yeah.
And me personally, I own guns. I am a Texan. We have the castle laws and everything else. If I am in so much fear, I call fucking 911. I want motherfuckers here as fast as they can with the best shit and training they can have. Because you scared me that bad.
I mean, I'm not sure how big the Texan police force is.
The problem is you have to break it down to city, county,
right,
and state.
Like, I know New York City has like some 25,000 officers just for the city alone.
San Antonio, we have a pretty good sized police force. I cannot give you the direct numbers because I don't remember anymore. I used to know these numbers, but I don't remember them anymore. But we have a good sized police force. But in San Antonio, we also have Bexar County sheriffs.
Mm-hmm.
We also have the state constables. We also have, you know, our state troopers.
Right.
That all are in the city at the same time. And now we even have the fucking the school district police forces.
Yeah.
That they're not supposed to be, but they really think they are flat out cops as long as you're inside their school district.
Okay, now, like...
And I've had issues with them in the past because in high school, the high school was literally right next to my house, separated by a drainage ditch. And a small drainage ditch. You know, no more than 10 feet across. And it was my backyard, the front of the school. And, like, the cops would park across our driveway. My dad would be getting home from work, and, you know, it's already, the traffic's horrendous because school just let out. But now there's a cop blocking the driveway. Hey, you need to move your car. My dad I don't have to fucking move. This is my jurisdiction. I can park wherever the fuck I want. Oh, hell no.
I think
but the difference is I didn't go aggressively at the cop and cuss him out or nothing. I called the fucking school district and I called their police department, speak to their fucking chief and like, what the fuck is this? Y'all are blocking private driveways, which is a crime. I can call SAPD on his ass and have the car towed.
Mayor de Blasio, I think Mayor de Blasio, I think he did like the $1 billion budget. He took $1 billion budget from him, and he did the stop and frisk. So there's no more stop and frisk in New York City. So but like the fund of police, nah, I'm not. I don't really agree with that. But
right.
It's
you know, the fact that you mentioned New York, I was reading an article on it, and I wish I could find it again, but they did stop, it was like major crimes unit or one of those units.
Yeah.
And as soon as they defunded it, they shut it down, and like 3 days later, people are calling for them to bring it back because the gun violence is out of control already.
Yep. And that's what happened. And that's what they meant by defund the police. And the more and more, and then like I guess what I heard from what he's trying to do, what Biden's trying to do is like abolish the police, abolish ICE, and abolish the military.
Jesus.
So so there's a lot going on with people talking about defund the police. Yeah, there's a lot. and then abolish the suburbs. He's trying to abolish a couple suburbs as well too.
How the fuck are you gonna abolish the suburbs? It's just housing areas.
Yes.
Do you mean like gated communities? Is that what you mean? Like you have to be like...
No. Yes, he's trying to get rid of gated communities as well. Okay. He's trying to eliminate private police forces as well. Private security, things like that. But the same thing is happening in Texas too, I believe. They're trying to get rid of private security.
They brought it up. It is not going over very well with the people.
What about...
Like this past week, this week we had our elections again, and they were flat out told, try it and none of you are going to have fucking jobs. And all of that shit got taken off their fucking platforms.
What do you guys feel about better police screening, where you make sure when you're hiring a police officer, you do better background checks to make sure they don't have a mental illness, they're not racist, they're not, evil motherfucker that wants to just kill people, like...
You can't hide that. Prove it.
Yeah. I see what you're saying, but better psychological evaluations, basically.
No. I agree with the better psych evaluations, better investigations, make them sit down with a counselor before you ever approve their application. Something like that, make them sit down with a shrink.
A good deep dive into their history of like, okay, did they ever get in trouble in school, or did they ever get in trouble with anything in the past where it could be considered as racist, or were they ever on medication for a mental illness? Like, fuck HIPAA. If you're going to be a cop and have a gun strapped to your side, you don't have the right to.
Mental illness, I agree with. The idea of did they ever get in trouble based off these principles in school, I don't necessarily agree with, because while you have people who get in trouble and don't give a shit, you have people who got in trouble, learned their lesson over it, and honestly changed.
It's been 2 hours. I gotta go.
All right, man.
Use the bathroom. I'll be back.
Do you know what I mean by that, Infamous?
Yeah. People change.
You might have gotten in trouble in high school because you and this black kid were fighting back and forth, and you called him a Negro.
Right. Well,
and
also
you got in trouble because you use a racist slur and you did this and you did this, and now they pull your file and, well, you're a racist because you said this during this fight.
Yeah. There's also where people...
No, he wasn't a racist.
There's also where people say something when they're young. That's something I want to get into on cancel culture, SJW culture, on another episode, where people will get canceled or shut down or whatever for something they did 20, 30 years ago. Like just a comment they made. Like when you're young and you're dumb, you say stupid shit. Then you grow up and you learn better. You realize, okay, the world ain't that way. I can't be talking and acting that way. You can't necessarily hold that against somebody for the rest of their life. But I'm just saying, there could be, like when we're talking about making police better, we can't just not do anything in that area. We have to try to do something more than what we're doing now in terms of trying to screen out those kind of people. Right. No system will ever be 100% perfect. But
agreed.
We could do better maybe than what we have now.
And that's why I said, I agree totally with the psychological profiles and and that, but maybe not start diving into everybody's school age records, because you're gonna bring up shit that excludes them, that it's not a part of their life.
I get you there, yeah. Maybe put a limit on it.
You had really racist parents and you hated the way they acted, but you said something and it got back to them, well, your parents are racist, you said this, so you're a racist.
So maybe only
and you're actually someone fighting against it.
So maybe only go as far back as 18 years old. You don't go into their childhood history or something, maybe.
Right.
It could be, thrown back and forth and fine-tuned and perfected as to how the best way to go about it is. And I don't pretend to know what that way is. I'm just saying.
Right.
I think they should just see more therapy, on
a regular basis. While they're a cop, on a regular basis.
Especially brutality and stuff like that, and I think they should go see more shrinks and stuff like that, and talk about it.
I fully agree. They should not even if you had a major trauma, like every 6 months, send them in to decompress and make sure they're, you know, you may not have thought it was something that big, but they took it a lot harder than you thought they would have.
I would even say once a month. Once a 6 months might be too long in some cases.
Okay.
Once a month, and then you could step it up if you leave it up to the therapist to either step it up, or they could say, you know what, you could do every other month. You know, if they feel like, you know, it's warranted. You know, you leave it open to the therapist to decide how frequent the visits need to be.
I thought there was a mandatory
after shootings
not
and
everywhere,
stuff.
And it's after a major trauma that they're required to go in.
If
you didn't face any major traumas, you're clear. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, if you were shot, or your partner was shot, or you were involved in a shooting, like some kind of major thing, then that's when most apartments will make it. You have to go.
The other one I know a lot of apartments do is also crimes against kids. If you got called out to a bad case of child abuse, they're sending your ass to counseling.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I would honestly say though with that one, once a cop has committed a crime, there is no you get to keep your badge.
Regardless of the level of crime.
You beat your kids. Right. You beat your wife, you beat your kids, you assaulted a guy at the store because you thought the other cops were going to cover for you, you're done.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel like that, even if for no other reason than when we were prison guards, if we had anything pop up on our records, it's over. You're done. You're fired.
My dad...
No retirement, no this, instant fired.
My dad used to...
You don't work for the union, right?
No, we don't have many unions down here.
See, and police, they work for the union. So
yeah, that shouldn't be.
Yeah. And that's why they do certain things that they do now. But now they get in the treatment where they do something like that, they get that treatment. What you're saying right now, that's what's being talked about too, as well.
You were saying, Infamous?
My father...
Your dad.
My father used to get real mad. He'd be driving along the highway, and a police cruiser would go by doing 80 miles an hour or something without the lights on. And he'd be like, what the hell? He doesn't have the lights on. He's not going anywhere. He's not going to a crime scene or something because he don't have the lights on. I'm going to get right behind him and go as fast as... I'm going to go right behind him and go just as fast as he's going. Yeah, but why go at an unsafe speed, and it's by law designated as an unsafe speed, because if I go at it, you're going to give me a ticket. Why don't you have your lights on? You should have your lights on for the safety of you and the people around you, and to set a good example.
Only partially true. It's not that it's unsafe for you by yourself. It's not safe for the flow of traffic to go at that speed. Now, and like, of course, you know, I know law enforcement people and everything else, and, you know, being a prison guard, we learned a lot more of these. The fact that they go at those speeds without the lights or the sirens is because, now, I'm not saying they don't abuse it. There are definitely cops who abuse it. But there are a lot of times they are on their way somewhere, but lights and sirens will tip off that they're coming. You're putting the people in danger knowing the cops are on the way.
Okay, but if you're that close, yeah, but if you're down on the highway, you're nowhere near where you're going. You got once you get off the exit and you're within a block of where you're trying to go, or two, maybe, you know what I mean? But I mean, you're going down the highway. You can hear those
sirens and see the red and blues from a good distance.
Are those two different switches? Like, because you can just put on the lights. I mean, here's the way I look at it. There's always a different way to a different perspective.
There are two different switches. Right? You have your lights and you have your sirens.
So, at least put the lights on. At least put your four-way flashers on. Something, because to a regular person, it looks like this person's abusing their power. How can they enforce the law when they don't follow it? That's how it looks.
I can see that. I can honestly see that.
People will flip on their lights and sirens, drive past the red light, and then flip it off, and then speed.
That's a common trope you see in movies.
Seen that.
Yeah.
Yep, that's New York.
I have seen shit like that, and I agree. They need to be in trouble for that shit.
Absolutely.
And they'll do this shit. They'll park perpendicular or parallel to each other across the whole fucking street to have a conversation.
No.
Just
Y'all
to
need
talk.
to pull up somewhere appropriate.
They do that.
I know they do. I've seen it. And it's like I said, I'm not trying to change everyone's opinions and, oh, y'all are so wrong, you don't understand. I'm just giving that state of this is what does happen, even though it's not all the time. And like I said, I know for a fact there's cops who fly down the highway at 80, 90 miles an hour because they just think they fucking can.
Yeah. I'm glad you bring all that stuff up because we can't all have everybody agreeing on the podcast or it's going to be boring.
Right. You know, there are
anyway,
times
you know what I mean?
there... You know, like one of the more recent big ones I saw was the mother who called Pizza Hut instead of 911, or she called 911 and she said she was ordering the kids a pizza because the boyfriend was in the house, had a gun, was threatening to kill all of them, and she's on the phone with with 911 acting like it's Pizza Hut. And they're like, "Are you in danger?" "Oh, no, I need a large pepperoni." Okay, so you're in danger. Yes, a large pepperoni. No this. Okay, are you safe? Is there this? No drinks. I think we're okay with that. And like they flat out told the cops, no lights, no sirens. You park down the street and walk your asses up there.
Yeah.
If he gets any inkling that y'all are there, they're dead. And but that is the rarity versus the normalcy of it.
Well, that's something
I know about that too.
That's something that's a perfect segue, actually. You want to say something else serious before I give a segue, or no?
Oh no, you good.
Okay. So, Crimson, did you have something?
No, let's do the segue.
Okay. So, making police become more involved with the community. I talked about this one other time before we did our first episode. Making them go and do, like, I don't know, a barbecue where they feed people in the community. Making them do
community outreach.
Exactly. Feed people at the soup kitchen. Do ride-alongs. Go into schools and talk to students and teach them what you're all about and teach them how they could become cops someday if they wanted to, or how to act when a cop comes. Hold on.
I know everywhere's different.
Hold on, let me finish my thought. That may happen in some areas, but it should happen nationwide. And there was a reason why I wanted to bring that up, because what the heck were we just saying? Before I started saying that? Or did we all lose that thought now?
We're talking about the way the cops violate or don't violate.
So if you had them doing more community outreach and talking to them, the people in the community would have conversations with them, and they'd be like, why do you do that? Why do you speed down the road with the lights off? Then they could answer the question. Then the people would know. Then they wouldn't get mad at them. Right?
I think I take the departments and I separate them a lot of the time, and how people react to firefighters versus police is very interesting. Because there's not to say that firefighters don't abuse their right to speed down and hold up traffic and whatnot. Some of them do, but if a firefighter was to arrive on the scene versus a police officer, there's a different tension. And that's for good reason. They're trained just about the same, firefighters, if not more, for various circumstances. But they go out, they do barbecues. You can catch them in your local supermarkets. They do a lot of community outreach. You can find them at your pools. I said barbecues already, but I'm going to say it again. You can catch them barbecuing because firefighters can cook their asses off. Fucking love it. But they have a more friendly image than the average police officer. And for pretty much those reasons. You see them in the community. You see them doing things for people that, quote unquote, go above and beyond for. And when you think of an officer, especially here in the ghetto, you think of, oh, look at this fuckhole driving through the streets trying to give someone a ticket for no reason. Like, it would do good for them if they, like, you know, did community basketball. You know, you have a police basketball team, or if they had barbecues out in the street or something, or they held an annual event where they got the community together to do this, that, or the third. I think it works better for them. It puts them in a more positive light.
You see, like,
and it allows people
it's
to,
funny
you know,
to hear you explain it like that, because we have the exact opposite here. Our cops do that shit, and our fire department doesn't do shit except collect for charity every now and then.
Wow.
And they just stand out in the heat with boots, having you put money in the boot.
See, I was about to say that too. I was gonna say that as well. Like certain, like, you know, with fire departments, some of the fire departments as well is racist, and a lot of people don't see that as well. But and it's not with the with cops. Like, I think the community as well should also try to get along with just like, not saying fuck the cops, but I'm just saying, like, more like try to get along with the police as well. That way, I mean, the community can build together, not just cops just trying to get along with the community, but I think on both sides as well that they should get along with each other, because, you know, like, I agree with, like, you know, they should do like a basketball tournament or do like a softball tournament with the community or something like that.
Even like a little carnival. Hey, come throw a pie at a cop's face, or hit the ball at the target and dunk them in a bucket of water. You know, people would love that shit.
And like, not just go, like, I mean, go to the schools and talk about being a cop, but not just like just go to the schools all the time. Why don't you just go to like neighborhoods and try to like talk to people and stuff like that? But everywhere you go, some people think like, oh, he's talking to a cop, or he might be just a rat. Like, some people think like that, and that's their mentality. That's certain people.
Yeah.
Or even if they're not a rat, it's the police are here because they want information. They just want to spy on us. No matter how good of a thing they're trying to do, no, they're actually trying to be evil.
You'll never get away from that, though. I mean, there's always going to be people that feel that way.
But that's a taught behavior.
Yeah. But you'll have less and less of it, though, too, as if cops did that on a regular basis. You know,
and you see the difference from living in the city area, and then like mostly like when you see that yourself in like living in the suburbs, like, and like in areas like that's like in good areas, you see cops like communicate with other people that live in the suburbs and be nice to them, stuff like that, and then like they do stuff for people like that. But you don't see it as much, like in the city. The cities, like mostly like in the cities, because some people are stuck where you like say fuck the police, like, and it shouldn't be like that.
Like, it's really odd. Like, I've had an officer pull me to the side and try to give me a ticket because I said hi to them while they were talking in a group.
Wow. That's fucked up.
My opinion of the police is it's not very high. Like, I don't think all of them are the same. But when you're a victim of like officer abusing their power, and I know infamous is a learned behavior. Yeah, they're teaching me it. They're giving me a good lesson on how to hate them.
But what you gotta do, see, you have a bad example or a bad experience with a police officer. It shouldn't tarnish your view of all police officers. It should just make you say that police officer is an asshole.
It doesn't,
But you have a low view of. But you just said you have a low view of police officers in general.
The reason why it's in general is because if it was one instance, yeah, that individual. But when it's multiple instances, and I won't get into how many, there's some underlying issue. Like, if you're arresting me and I've done literally nothing wrong, and you're saying I'm a fuckbag and I'm low as dirt and I should throw you in the tracks, the train station, because I'm a waste of life.
Now, why were they arresting you though?
Because I went through the gate after swiping my Metro card and turning the turnstile, but they didn't see I did that. I just went through the gate. They assumed I didn't pay to go into the train, and I get all of that bad treatment for what?
Yeah.
But when I'm trying to explain to them what happened and telling them to talk to the controller that's over there, the booth clerk, They don't want to do that. Suddenly, they're threatening my life and telling me, "Oh, I don't deserve to live. I'm a waste of life. This, that, and the third." For what? You already got the cuffs on me. You're pushing me against the bars in the train station. Like, I'm in pain. Like, just let me explain my piece.
That just comes down to need better screening and better training, because that person didn't belong to ever be a police officer in the beginning, like to begin with at all.
There was another instance where a cruiser was going through the park. I was just sitting down, minding my own business. They roll up to me. "Do you have any drugs on you? Do you have anything on you that doesn't belong to you? They need to get out of the cruiser. We need to check you." I'm just watching a soccer game.
Where were you? What were you doing?
I was just sitting in
That's
the park.
the city. That was in the city.
Wow.
That's
the city.
Just a spot check.
That's how it is in the city.
Fucked up. I lived in Philly for a couple years, but I was real young and I wasn't there for long, like 2 years. Unless you got something else to say, Guts, I want to get on to the last talking point that I have. Go ahead if you want to say something first. All right. Well, they actually have two. I don't know if you guys want to talk about this one real quick. Educating people how to act around police. And that could go hand in hand with police going into schools and stuff and community outreach. You know, talk to people and say, hey, you know, when you're getting arrested or you're getting and not even when you're getting arrested, just when you're having any kind of interaction with the police, talk clearly. You know, don't make sudden movements. Don't reach into your pockets. Keep your hands visible. You know, set each other at ease. Same way, like you train the cop to de-escalate the situation.
Clearly,
don't be screaming and yelling and reaching and, you know, like you're making the cop like really like, oh shit, I really got to watch this person's hands. I got to yell at them to keep their hands where I can see them, and they're barking in my face, so I'm gonna, you know, talk over them and let them know I'm the part of authority. I'm gonna get louder. So it's a two-way street. It ultimately is gonna fall on the cop 90% of the time to, like, say we were saying earlier, de-escalate the situation and everything, but the person that's being arrested or being pulled over or whatever is not innocent 100% of the time, you know, either. There's plenty of times where I've seen video of somebody getting pulled over and the cops being super nice, writing them a ticket. Here you go, you know, you were and they're like ripping up the ticket, throwing it in their face, getting in and out of the car, getting right in the cop's face, just freaking out, you know?
Yeah, they got to deal with a lot, yeah.
Yeah. And the cop doesn't do anything. The last point I wanted to get to, because that was kind of a point, but that kind of intertwined with something we already talked about. Is it just human nature to say, I'm white, you're black, I'm a Christian, you're a Jewish or a Muslim, I'm a Democratic, you're a Republican, I'm Team Xbox, you're Team PlayStation, I'm a fan of the Cowboys, you're a fan of the Redskins, I believe in democracy, you believe in communism? Is that just human nature to say, this is what I believe in, and if you don't believe in it, you're my enemy or you're wrong? Are we ever going to be able to get past that?
I don't think it is.
We can get past it. I mean, humans are competitive by nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a healthy competition is always nice. Like the whole Team Xbox, PlayStation thing. I think that's a nice, friendly competition. But to completely segregate or divide people, I don't think that's natural.
And like he just said right there, like the Xbox, PlayStation, yeah, the communities may not like each other, but you know what? We need each other. Because that's why we get better and better fucking consoles, because they're competing against each other. If there was no real competition, we'd get just pieces of crap at high price that we don't even like. Because why bother? Like, they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Or they don't have anywhere else to go. Now, with actual people, like, I don't believe in it. Like, it's not human nature to divide ourselves and hate on each other, because you see it with kids. When we're little kids, we don't give a flying fuck about race, skin color, religions, nothing. We have to be taught those dividing lines.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just quit teaching them, it would end. But we don't want to give up those lines for some reason. And I'm not saying us personally, but as a civilization. We just won't do it, and I don't understand it myself.
Yeah, it's. I just feel like, yeah, every time we get a call from on the in-game phone, there's a massive echo. It's crazy.
So loud.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's like I'm not calling out any. I hope I don't like upset you guts, but I'm gonna kind of call you out a little bit on this one. You have, when we play Destiny, you'll get this thing about, oh, you're a Crucible, forgive the term, Crucible twat, or you're a PvP scumbag. And I get that too. I get that feeling towards people sometimes, or you're a hunter, you're a typical hunter. But people will, I don't see you doing it all the time or doing it too much to like a bad extent, but there are people that will do that, and they will be like, okay, everybody that plays PvP on a regular basis in a game is, so PvP versus PvE crowd in a game, and they just form these two communities that argue with each other, or hunters are the best in Destiny, or whatever race you like playing as or class you like playing as is the best. And people do that. They just seems like some people feed on that. They dwell on that. That's part of the enjoyment for them, to align themselves with a certain thing and then be against everyone else, or to hate an entire group of people based on whatever the thing is that's different than what they are.
Right. Now, if you notice though, and like, this isn't just trying to defend myself, this is like to add to the conversation. The difference too is, when someone comes at me with it, I will go back at them. Like, I don't care about people who play in the Crucible. All I do is just have the respect. I'm not a Crucible person. Now, if you're acting like you're better than me all the time because you're a Crucible twat. And, that's where that term came from. Or you don't care because, whatever, the people who think they're better than each other, I don't start out like, oh, you play Crucible mainly? Oh, man, you fucking Crucible twat. I don't ever want to play with you.
Yeah.
What you're saying is your opinion is completely reactionary.
Right. Okay. And, at the same time, it's reactionary, but it's also proportional. If you are just an asshole about it the whole time, I'm going to be an asshole right back. Now, I don't treat all the Crucible players that way, but if you've proven to me you're a Crucible twat, yeah, I'm going to tell you you're a Crucible twat. But how many of them that I've already known are Crucible twats we've still gone in the raids with and bashed our heads against the wall arguing with them to shut up and do it our way because you're not a raider. And we still teach them versus, dude, they're a Crucible twat, they're not coming.
Yeah.
And, even in society, like, I understand there are people who are that way. But, if you, like, and that's why I brought up, like, little kids. If you watch little kids playing, they don't start off hating each other just because of whatever reasons are there. They learn that from their fucking parents. And, even in games, you learn it from the experiences. And once you're taught it, it's hard to get past it. But we're not inherently built that way that, if you took 100 kids, 25 or 10 of all different, 10 of each religion or race or whatever and put them together and never told them anything, they wouldn't segregate each other and be like, we hate you because you're too much darker than me.
Yeah.
They would just...
Racism is definitely a product of people teaching you to be that way, or of being treated or mistreated by someone of another ethnicity or race or whatever, where then you form that opinion based on that. You're not born with that in your heart.
Right. Any more topics you have?
I'm out of talking points. If anybody else has anything else to say, we're on 2 hours, 34 minutes. I think we said a lot. We had a very good podcast. I'm thrilled with the conversation and everything. Is
But
anybody
I think
else?
there's something we all. Yeah,
Yes.
I think, but it's something that we all do agree on,
What?
Yeah.
right?
I know what you're gonna say.
We don't like fuck day.
Fuck day.
Fuck day.
I can't wait for
Exactly.
this is fucked up to say. I can't wait for Trump to build a wall around him. What the hell's taking so long?
Nice.
I told Day way back when, I'm like, I'm gonna give Trump a way to save money on the wall. He doesn't have to build a wall across the whole bottom of the United States. He can just build a wall around you, Day, and that's it. We're good.
And that's not being racist at all. We just saying fuck day. We don't like day, but
Yeah.
you know that's
It has nothing to do with race or anything else. It's just day in general.
It's just
Day is so
him individually. He's in our crew on GTA Online. He's actually in this session. We used to
He
tease
hasn't
him.
blown anything up yet.
Yeah. With him a lot, joke around, tease and everything. He used to be featured on some of my YouTube videos, but then he blocked his voice from being shared, and he got his feelings hurt.
Okay.
Yeah, he got his feelings hurt.
Yeah.
Because remember, his mom was in the one yelling at him, and he didn't like that I recorded that. Yeah, no. But that's
fuck
it.
day.
Anybody want to plug any of their socials or have a little outro?
Yeah. Thank you for sailing these crimson waters with me here in this podcast. I've really enjoyed talking to you guys. You can catch me at Crimson Waters on Twitch. You can also catch me at Some Salty Gamers Official on YouTube for some more podcast action. And that's okay on all of my socials. Thanks for watching.
All right. Serious? Anything?
Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you very much. I'm working on a lot of independent stuff. You can follow me on I'm also serious gaming a little bit, but I'm not working on that just yet. I'm really getting a little bit things done. You can follow me on my bigmandingo.com. You know, just follow that. But you know.
Is that a real thing, or is that a joke?
I don't want to know.
Is that 18 and older, or is that like anybody? What?
No, it was just a joke. It was a little jokey joke, but I'm working on a couple things right now. I'm getting a little couple things done. A little cooking channel as well, so I'm trying to work on a couple things
that's cool.
Clothing lines. Yeah.
Oh, we may have to do some like fucking teleconference fucking cooking things in.
Uh-huh.
I'm always down to learn new ways to cook and new things.
Well, Cook, do you have anything you want to say, Guts? You want to say have a good night or anything, or you want to plug anything?
Just Guts8690. Like, I played Destiny, I played this with Infamous. Like, I just really just got into this, like, hanging out with Infamous. I don't have any of my own channels or anything, but thanks for tuning in. You know, if y'all have any comments or questions about anything we brought up, try and reach out to us through the channel, and maybe we can answer some questions or deal with some comments or opinions that are out there. Because I know not everyone's going to agree with all of us. As y'all heard, we don't always all agree. But all I want to say is, like, if y'all see this and y'all watch it, remember, this is what it's supposed to be about. Being able to talk and discuss and have a difference of an opinion without having to whine and cry the other person's hurting me and treating me wrong because they disagree with you. They're allowed to disagree. It's not a big deal.
Wonderfully said. Yeah. Wonderfully
went
said.
so hard on their way of life.
Alright, and I'm Infamous177. You can find me on YouTube where you're watching this video, hopefully. Infamous177 Gaming. I'm on TikTok under the same name, and that's pretty much it. We'll be back next Thursday, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern, or you can catch these as videos on my channel. Usually goes up as a video on the next day. I'm not sure what the subject will be next week, but I'm sure it'll be something worth listening to. We spend episodes talking about video games or talking about real life stuff like we did tonight. Hope you enjoyed watching. Everybody have a good night. That was the wrong button. I'm getting better, though.